Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the West Melbourne City Council meeting to order. It's November 22nd, 2022. If you'd stand for the pledge and a moment of silent meditation, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Can we have roll call City Council, please?
Mayor Rose.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Young. Here. Councilmember Bentley.
Here.
Councilmember Ditmore. Here. Councilmember Frampus.
Here.
Councilmember McDowell.
Here.
Councilmember Adams.
Here.
Thank you. And welcome everyone to this November 22nd meeting of the West Melbourne City Council. Members of the public are welcome to speak on any issue, whether it's on tonight's agenda or anything that you want to talk about. Each person who wishes to speak should complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk ahead of time. The speaker cards are located by the front door, and after you've been recognized to speak, please use the microphone and clearly state your name and address for the record. Please address all your comments to the City Council body through this chair. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes to address City Council. All right. Well, as most of you know, we just had a recent election. And so the first order of operation is to approval of certification of results for the November 8th, 2022 election. Mr. Bentley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2022-23 approving the certified results from the November 8th, 2022 election.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell.
I will second that motion.
All right. Any discussion? Ms. City Clerk, do you have the updated, even though we had the election on the 8th of November, more votes come in, obviously, and then there's some other votes, and then we wait for some votes overseas. So we just got those in, and so can you read the new numbers?
Certified results, which were submitted after the agenda was published. Diana Adams received 7,177 votes. John Ditmore received 5,180 votes. William H. Johnson received 3,870 votes. And Andrea B. Young received 5,488 votes.
Very good. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries 7-0. Welcome aboard. All right. Kind of feel like, as a teacher, former teacher, it's like a new school year, so it's kind of exciting. We're starting fresh. All right, so the next thing we have to do is swear in these members. So as our city clerk calls your name, go up here and you'll say the oath of office. Please feel free to bring your fan club, your husband, your wife, your spouses, friends, girlfriends, whatever you want up there with you, and feel free to get up here and take pictures or whatever y'all want to do. So.
All right, I'm going to be doing these in alphabetical order, so I would ask Diana Adams to join me.
All right. And anybody that wants to join her up there certainly may. All right.
All right, I'd ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
and that I will, in all respects,
and that I will, in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of City Council
of the office of City Council
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Sign here.
All right.
Thank you.
I would ask John Ditmore to join me.
Hey, Big John. Where's this one?
All right.
There she is.
Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I will, in all respects,
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of City Council
the duties of the office of City Council
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to.
Andrea Young to join me. Okay, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I will, in all respects,
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and the ordinances of the City of West Melbourne,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of City Council
the duties of the office of City Council
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Who's doing the photos?
I don't know, I don't have
No, you can't go home yet.
Can't have a meeting yet.
That was nice. So with that being said, can we have a roll call of the newly elected City Council of West Melbourne, Florida?
Changed so much.
Mayor Rose,
Here.
Councilmember Bentley,
Here.
Councilmember Young,
Here.
Councilmember Ditmore, Councilmember Frampus,
Here.
Councilmember McDowell,
Here.
Councilmember Adams.
Here.
Great. It's good to have everyone here, and we do have a quorum. So our next order of business, according to our charter for the City of West Melbourne, is each year we select a deputy mayor. So the procedure that we use, that I'll be using, is we will have slips to pass out, and we'll take a vote, and then we'll confirm that vote orally. Does anybody want to not put their name in for deputy mayor? So does anybody want to get pulled for that? Mr. Ditmore? You just stated for the... I'm sorry. Mr. Ditmore, you want your name crossed off?
Mayor, you can cross my name out.
Okay.
You can cross my name off that ballot.
All right.
Mine as well, Mayor.
Okay. Your chances are getting a lot greater because my name's not even on the ballot. So, all right. All right. So we have the remaining people we have on the ballot is Andrea Young, Stephen Frampus, Pat Bentley. So everybody votes for one, no hanging chads. I'll go ahead and cross those names out for your convenience. And vote for one only, and you need to sign this because it will be part of the public record. Pass those two down, please, and I'll give yours.
There is now.
Everybody get one? Just one per customer. Yeah. We should get the election results in the next 48 hours or less. No.
Give it a week.
I have 4 votes for Stephen Frampus and 3 votes for Pat Bentley.
All right. 4 votes for Stephen Frampus and 3 votes for Pat Bentley. All right. Can we have a motion then? Mr. Ditmore?
I make a motion to accept the vote for Stephen Frampus to be the deputy mayor with a comment, if I could.
Okay. Very good.
Just wanna-
Mr. Bentley?
I just wanted to make sure you're going to do it to make it unanimous. Is that what you were going to do?
Yeah, we like to, yes.
Yeah.
Or you vote how you want, but yes, that would be my wish, but yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Ditmore?
Yes. I just want to make a comment that all 3 of the people that put in, and Andrea Young's done a fine job this past year. Pat, you attend all the meetings, you do everything, and if Steve had not put in for it, I would have voted for you. I just think it was just an opportunity. It's his time, I think, this time. But I just really want to make it clear to everyone that's here, and thank you, especially Pat, for the work that you do. You do above and beyond a lot. But I think it's kind of an opportunity for Mr. Frampus to have an opportunity at it this time. But I just want to make a special mention about that.
Thank you.
as well.
I appreciate it.
Mr. McDowell? Okay. Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor to appoint Stephen Frampus as our next deputy mayor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. We will take a few-minute break, so we got to do some rearranging of furniture here. So you're going to take his seat. He'll take your seat.
Okay.
So. You're here. All right. So everybody's in their seats. So just a couple quick words. It's good to have everybody up here. This council has worked together before, so it's kind of continuation, as you know. A lot of new management, new chief of police, new city manager, different departments. So it's we got a lot of good things going on. So my goal for this year, the city council work together to become as effective as possible. I'd like to see us work as a group on a strategic plan and not just wait until the budget time to decide what to do or how many gadgets to buy. A community as great as ours does not successfully grow and prosper on its own. The decisions that we make will affect all of us for many years to come. We are the policymakers and are responsible for providing direction in which this city will move into the future years. And perhaps later on during the meeting in your council reports, you may want to talk about some of your goals for the year ahead. So, all right. So through all the excitement, I missed, before we did the presentation of my new employee, I did miss the approval of the minutes. So can we have a motion for approval of the minutes of November 1st, 2022? Ms. Adams?
I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes.
Deputy Mayor Frampus?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So our first order of business is we have a new employee. And City Manager, would you introduce your new employee?
Mayor, Deputy Mayor Frampus, and City Council, it is my great honor to have to be joined up here at the podium by our new Police Chief, Greg Vesta, who comes all the way from Illinois to join us and lead the organization as we move forward with all of this change, as the mayor has mentioned. And so I appreciate everyone attending the swearing-in event that we had. I thought it went off very well, and it was good to see a good crowd of people to welcome him in. But instead of me telling you about our new police chief, I will defer to our new police chief. So.
Thanks, Mr. Manager. So first of all, just thank you for the warm welcome that I've received over the last few days. I said a lot at my swearing in, so I won't repeat all those things. But it's an honor to come and serve for the citizens of West Melbourne. For those that watch at home, I served 26 and a half years up in Northern Illinois, working my way through the ranks. And really, the success that we had up there was working so close with our community, and that's what I'm looking forward to down here. From the moment I came in for the pre-research on the community, but came in for the meet and greet and interviews and learning about the community. It was exactly what I was looking for. So my wife and I are so excited to get down here. My boys will be down here this weekend to learn more about the area. And I'm honored to join a wonderful police department and a wonderful community. The last 3 days have been chock full of jumping full head in and meeting everyone. And I think I've gotten before every shift and employee group. I won't remember all their names yet, but I'm getting there. And it's an honor to be able to serve the community, and I'm looking forward to many more years of success and successful career. And, I met a lot of people tonight and meeting more throughout the community and getting out of the office as much as I can to meet people beyond our building, but throughout town. So anyways, Mr. Manager, thanks for the confidence in me. I'll work as hard as I can to make you proud. And Council, I'm looking forward to working with you and meeting all the residents. So thanks again for the warm welcome. I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
Thank you.
Great.
Any questions for the chief? I just have one. What'd you do with your winter jacket from Illinois?
I brought way too many winter clothes, that's for sure. We live in sweatshirts or jackets from October to about April, and too much of my closet now is filled with warm weather stuff that I'm gonna make some adjustments in the next couple months.
All right, super.
And this really wasn't a cold front to me, but I'm sure the year it will be. So
It was dramatic, but we got through it. So.
yeah, for sure.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right, next up, we have the public forum. Speakers are allocated 3 minutes to address City Council. Our first speaker is Janet Miller. You can pull that microphone down if you want to.
I'll be brief.
Okay.
First, I have a letter that was given to me by Carl and Debbie Sandberg. They couldn't be here. They wanted me to share it with the council because they're out of town. My name is Janet Miller. I'm a Woodfield resident, and I'm currently the president of the Woodfield HOA. Several months ago, a homeowner came to a Woodfield board meeting to express his strong opposition to the Doherty Road project. At that time, President Bill Hayden pledged support from all of our community in opposition to this project. And he followed up with a letter to the city stating our full community's opposition. It is because it will result in added traffic on Heritage Oaks Boulevard, increasing time to get in and out of our own community, imperiling safety of pedestrians and especially school children, decreasing home values, enabling criminals to hit our homes, vehicles, and then escape more easily, reducing mature green space needed for wildlife habitat, and is expected to increase the number of traffic accidents as well as impact flooding and damage to the environment. Thank you for
Thank
my
you.
time.
Next is Betty Hintz. Oh, yes.
That's okay. I'm a resident of Woodfield and Heritage Oaks as well. Voicing the same concerns as Janet, but also voicing concerns for, I guess, speaking for the wildlife in the area. Something that is near and dear to my heart as a wildlife biologist and a naturalist by trade. In one little spot of our development, little cul-de-sac, I have seen, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 threatened species that would be directly impacted by that development of that road. The caracara, I have pictures of it in the tree right outside our house, 2 adults and a juvenile. And they were obviously teaching the juvenile how to hunt in our development, in the Heritage Oaks, in our circle. We routinely have little blue herons, tricolored herons, which are on the imperiled species management list for Florida. We currently have them in the backyard right now, as well as a sighted bald eagle. No sighted nest for the bald eagle, but uses the area for hunting. So I guess that's a concern that I have, and a lot of people that I've talked to have noticed or have mentioned that as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dave Westrich.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and City Council. My name is Dave Westridge. I also live in Heritage Oaks. I'm again speaking on behalf of my family, which is in the audience tonight. First, I'd like to set the record straight and correct. I believe at the last session I stated that my son was 7. He's 11, so I think he owes that. So apologies. With that being said, I'm again voicing my opposition to the Heritage Oaks Doherty extension, and I'm stating that again tonight. I won't be able to make the December meeting due to scheduling conflicts. I've been able to obtain a PDF package dated August 26, 2022 from the then City Mayor, Scott Morgan, subject matter Friday memo. In sharing emails with current residents, there was a City Council member who referenced support for and referencing attachment 4. so I'd like to address this document. The traffic study was commissioned in 2019, nearly 4 years ago. Since then, Heritage Oaks has seen the building of an assisted living center and the addition of Heritage Oaks at the Point neighborhood. This study does not account for the additional residential or commercial traffic. Whether it's food delivery such as Uber Eats or regular pizza delivery, commercial delivery such as Amazon, FedEx, or UPS, they would all have the potential to use this as a shortcut. The study simply does not differentiate between the traffic. Further, the study shows AM peak hour traffic between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. to increase, and I quote, only by 24 rerouted trips. It states PM peak hour traffic between the hours of 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. to increase, and again, I quote, only 76 rerouted trips. That's an increase of 1 rerouted car every 96. While this may not seem like a lot, I believe it's grossly inaccurate and does not account for apps such as Google Maps, Waze, or any others. It doesn't specify what type of traffic we would account for in this study either, whether it's residential or commercial. It does not account for the 2 additional areas that have been brought on. And then it does not account for the other 20 hours in the day. It only cites those 4 hours. If the study states, and it does at the end, that this would not receive a significant number of reroutes, then why do we need this to begin with? The study also states that the distance to get to Doherty and Henry for my family would save me 1/4 of a mile, 1,320 feet. I'm willing to go the extra quarter mile. We also have stop signs and a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. And if you've ever driven on Henry, which has a speed limit of 35 miles an hour, you know adherence to that speed limit is widely disregarded. The need for police enforcement is observed continuous throughout the year, as I've seen them both on the north and south side. Is that what I can expect in my neighborhood now? Also, would emergency vehicles use this as a shortcut? This brings me to the possibility of enforcement. Would we now need speed bumps? And who loves speed bumps in a neighborhood? Furthermore, who would pay for those? I would. I would either pay for it through tax money if installed by the city or through homeowners' dues or special assessment. What about traffic signals? The last thing I want is a traffic light in my neighborhood. Pedestrian safety. We already have a battle for pedestrian safety. Earlier this year, I witnessed the end result of a car versus child on a bicycle at the corner of Heritage Oaks and Minton entrance. We don't have crossing guards during the hours of West Melbourne School of Science for entrance or dismissal. With the increased traffic, what would we need to do to keep our kids safe? Crime. This study has zero input on the possibility of crime. Increased traffic has a possibility of increased crime activity. This would now allow criminals 2 ways in and out of Heritage Oaks. Home values. This study does not account for the impact of home values. I believe it would have a negative one. From the last time I spoke to the City Council, Nextdoor app had a good discussion after the meeting. In my opinion, the neighbors of Westbrook seem to be in favor of this proposal. Maybe they're looking for traffic relief themselves. As stated previously, and as a board member myself on the Woodfield at Heritage Oaks Homeowners Association, I have not spoken to one person that is in support of this extension. In closing, I ask and urge you to oppose this extension. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, Susie, you're up next.
My name is Susie Kudzerski. I also live in Woodfield at Heritage Oaks, and I'm here tonight in person to reinforce what the others have already said and to recertify my objection to the Dougherty Road extension. The project has been in the works for approximately 2 decades. Obviously, a lot of time and money has gone into studying the roads, the traffic patterns, the environmental impact. Clearly, the project was designed to support and enhance the growth and sustained growth of our community, and I applaud that. But the concept was to form an interconnected series of roads within our town. The current plan does not achieve that. It only connects Heritage Oaks and Dougherty Road, period, and at a cost of approximately $775,000. And at the expense of cutting through a residential neighborhood imperiling safety, home values, resident quality of life, the environment, and more. Is there an upside? Well, I asked Andrea Young, who was kind enough to share her August 26th Friday letter that explained some of the council's reasoning. The memo stated that a traffic study estimated eliminating 24 cars during peak traffic in the morning and 76 cars during peak traffic in the afternoon by rerouting them through Heritage Oaks. That's about 100 cars a day. Honestly, I think the traffic would unfortunately be far greater, but assuming this study is accurate, it hardly even seems worth bothering. And the Friday letter agrees. It said, and I quote, "In short, if constructed, the Dougherty Drive extension is not projected to receive a significant number of rerouted trips to and from the south of Minton Road." Further, it states, quote, "The study concluded that the benefit does not result from the relatively minimal cut-through trips that would use the extension, but rather from the significant number of internal Heritage Oaks trips, which will no longer need to pass through the Minton Road-Henry Avenue intersection." In other words, the perceived benefit, according to this reasoning, is primarily to benefit Heritage Oaks residents. Seems to me it would be fiscally irresponsible for the council to proceed on the basis of helping out just one community. And does it really benefit that community? The traffic study estimated saving residents up to 2 miles per round trip, a poor reasoning to spend $750,000. Are there other reasons to approve the project? Well, the letter noted the extension would provide ability for residents to walk or bike to Publix, a notion I find highly unlikely. The letter adds one more benefit, and that's the potential to mitigate flooding behind preserves. Surely there must be other ways to handle that solitary issue than by building a road. The project on the whole seems to be a solution in search of a problem with too many unintended negative consequences to get into tonight. In summary, the project does not achieve its goals. It theoretically benefits only a select few rather than the community at large, and the majority of Heritage Oaks residents who supposedly are benefited most oppose the project. After so long, I'm sure that the council members would love to feel that they have served our community by successfully bringing this project to completion. But I believe that the council would be fulfilling their fiduciary responsibility, as well as be seen as heroes by canceling the project and cutting further losses. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speaker cards? Okay, thank you. Mr. Ditmore?
Thank you, Mayor. I just got a quick question for the city manager regarding this project. I know there's some stuff coming up in December, January. Are we currently in the process? Yeah, it's on. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. You can hear me fine.
Can you hear me now?
You can hear me now.
World to hear you.
Are we in the process right now, or before the January, we talked a little bit about this on the phone, January date, are we in the process of right now currently spending any money on this project, or we've already spent what we've spent and we're not spending anything until we make another decision in January?
Yeah, currently we're in the application process with the St. John's for our stormwater permit. Everything is submitted to them and in their hands. The plan moving forward is to go out to bid for the project when we achieve our stormwater permit from St. John's, and then bring those bid results back to the council for action to vote to do the project or not to do the
Okay, so we're not spending money on it right now. That's not costing, there's a zero cost other than employee time on this?
Right. Couple of emails that come in about the project is about all we're spending resources
Okay.
on.
And you're going to bring this to us in an advertised meeting in January?
Correct. As soon as we have the permit, we'll go out for bid and usually bid it for 30 days, and then the bids come in, and then we bring them forward as we do with all our other projects.
I'd like to make a suggestion to council that you bring it to council before you take it to bid, so that we can have an opportunity to save a lot of people's time on this, and then we can make a decision whether at that time to go forward on it. I don't really want to waste these people bidding on this if it's not the council intent to take it forward. And I know we're not going to have that discussion right now, but I think it might be important for us to if we're going to can this project, that we do it before we ask people to put time in actually bidding it out. So would the council agree on that?
Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Ms. Adams?
What is the plan if we don't have the permit that's required before the January meeting, when the extension project is supposed to be discussed?
We won't be going out to bid until we have all of our permits, just as with any other project.
Okay.
Mr. McDowell?
Thank you, Mayor. I would be supporting Mr. Ditmore's remarks there, but I do need clarification. We do have sunken cost here, though. So we have, as a city, spent, I thought, a couple $100,000 on this already, correct?
Correct. We have a fully engineered set of plans ready to bid. So the cost that's gone into that is obviously incurred by the city.
That was just to get clarification. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next item up today is our consent agenda. We have 2 items to approve. Do we have a motion to do that? Ms. Young?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Ditmore?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. This brings us to the action agenda. We have a number of boards here and reappointments. We have the Business Advisory Board annual report and reappointments. Ms. City Clerk?
Yes, I'm asking council to receive the annual report for the Business Advisor Board and make the following reappointments as listed on the agenda. Out of all of the members on the board, only one has asked not to be reappointed. I do have 4 vacancies on this board, so I'm hoping that I can recruit and fill some of those positions.
All right. So we just need a motion for all of them. Okay.
Yes, a motion for the reappointments,
Mr.
please.
McDowell?
I make a motion for the reappointments for the 2 and do both and accept the annual reports.
Okay. For the boards that she has outlined there. Okay. Ms. Young?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. McDowell? Nothing? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have Code Enforcement Board annual report and reappointments. What's that?
The next one's the Board of Adjustment.
I'm sorry.
The next one's the Board of Adjustment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Board of Adjustments, we can do that one too. Okay. We have 2 names on there, Adam Gaffney and William H. Johnson. Ms. Adams?
There you go. I'll make a motion to receive the annual report and also make the reappointments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Frampus.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item C, Code Enforcement Board annual report and reappointments.
I'm asking council to receive the annual report and make the reappointments of 2 of the members who have expiring terms.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Frampus.
Make a motion, we accept the Code Enforcement Board and their annual report.
Ms. Adams?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item D, Planning and Zoning annual report and reappointments.
Again, I'm asking council to receive the annual report and make the 3 appointments for members with expiring terms.
Deputy Mayor Frampus.
Make a motion and we accept the annual report and the planning and zoning individuals that want reappointment.
Mr. McDowell.
I will second that.
Very good. Any discussion? Mr. McDowell? No. All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And item E, that's for me. This is appointments to the various boards and committees that City Council represents. Let me catch up my pages here. Yeah. All right, so we have quite a few boards, and so we'll just go through those, and then we can make a motion on the end to clarify all those or bless all those in the end. So the first board, we have the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization, called the MPO. Ms. Young, do you want to continue with that one?
Yes.
Okay, you're doing a good job with that one. I'll be the alternate. The second one on your page is MPO Technical Advisory Committee, TAC. City Manager, you'll be taking that. Thank you. And next one is Brevard County Water Supply Board. Mr. Ditmore, do you want to continue with that one? Or you want to turn to somebody else?
I'll turn that one over.
Okay. Does anybody else wish to be on that board? Mr. McDowell?
I'll take water.
Okay, you take water. And I see, Ms. Adams, you want to be the alternate with that?
I mean, I'm happy to do so, but I did have a question. Mr. Ditmore, did that board meet at all? Were there discussions? Because I haven't heard an update on
I
that.
haven't heard anything from them. Not one bit of communication came through the clerk's office, nothing at all.
So I guess my question would be, based on these boards, are all of these active? And if so, are we finding use in them? If not, is there an opportunity for us as a council to decide what's best serving the residents with our time?
Some of these boards meet every month. Some of them meet once a year. Some of them are just liaisons. Some of them are not voting members. So it doesn't hurt to be somebody out there that they can contact. So again, it's up to you if you want to attend or not. But okay, I'll keep the alternate, Mr. McDowell.
I was going to say, if we could, I mean, definitely put that into our strategy, discussion. Maybe, so we have adequate time to really discuss and maybe give an update at that time, a report on the frequency, the involvement, things of that sort. I'm just a suggestion that maybe that's when we do it.
Well, it doesn't sound like this took too much of Mr. Ditmore's time last year.
It took absolutely none of my time.
Okay, there you go.
So I definitely double want to nominate myself then for that job.
Well, I did agree to be the alternate if we need one.
You want to be an alternate? Is that what you're saying?
I'm happy to do so.
Okay, I didn't want to take too much of your time there. Okay, so we'll put you down as the alternate. Okay, Space Coast League of Cities. We have Mr. Bentley as the representative, and Mr. Frampus. Do you want to keep that?
Go off of that.
Okay, then I know Ms. Adams, you've been to a lot of those meetings. Do you want to be the alternate with that?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. The next one, we have the Space Coast Economic Development Commission, EDC. I'm happy to retain that. And
Yes, please.
Ms. Young, thank you. You'll be the alternate on that.
Can we have two alternates on that?
Sure, I guess we can. We can have 7 if you want, but or 6.
Well, I know that I've been attending those meetings, so, but not as an alternate, just FYI.
Yeah, I haven't missed those meetings, so yeah, you're more than welcome to be an alternate too. Then we have the Melbourne Tillman Water Control District Board of Directors, and that's a citizen. Has he been contacted?
He is on. That term does not expire until September 30th, 2024.
Yeah, okay. And Melbourne Airport Authority, Mr. Ditmore.
I'll stay on that one.
Have you been to any meetings?
No meetings.
I don't want to overwork you now.
Yeah, they don't, just kind of FYI about the airport, we are not included, and when I did attend those meetings, they want to know what I was doing there, and there's no official liaison. There's no communication with the city of Melbourne that we're considered a liaison with them.
We'll make sure they get a letter, because when I was liaison, I used to get the correspondence. But again, those meetings are open to the public, and anyone can attend if he's too busy. So, no. All right, Mr. Frampus, do you want to?
Stay on as well.
You'll stay on. Thank you. We have the Melbourne Regional Chamber of Commerce of East Central Florida. Mr. McDowell.
I'd like to stay on that.
Okay, I'll be the alternate with that one. And the Greater Palm Bay Chamber, I'm happy to keep that one. And Mr. Ditmore, did you want to do that, or you want Mr. Bentley to be that one? Or
I can do that.
okay, you'll continue with that one. Okay. And we have the Brevard County Fire Department liaison, and I'll continue with that one. Mr. Frampus, do you want to be the alternate?
Sure.
Again, those meetings are far and in between. We have some boards that meet at the state level. This is last year, so I don't know if these are accurate, and so maybe if somebody can let us know which board you're on, if any, in the state. I'm on the board of directors for the Mayor's League in the state, and Transportation Intergovernmental Relations. Is anybody on that board?
I serve on that committee, Mayor.
You're serving on that? Okay. Florida League of Cities Land Use and Economic Development.
That's accurate. That's mine.
You're still on that one, Ms. Young? Thank you. Florida League of Cities Municipal Administration.
I'm on that one.
Mr. Bentley. And you're not on that one anymore, Mr. Frampus, right?
No, Mr. Bentley wanted it.
Okay. And anybody else on any of those state committees? Mr. McDowell?
Oh, no, got too quick here. I'm on a different one. I'm on FAST, if that's the...
All right. Did you have a comment?
Well, the FAST is the Federal Action Strike Team.
What's the name of it?
FAST.
FAST. Federal
FAST.
Strike Team. Okay.
F-A-S-T.
Do you have that, Ms. City Clerk? Okay, thank you. And then we have a couple other liaisons to city boards. We have the Beautification Committee. Ms. Young has that, and on the alternate. The Board of Adjustments, I'm on that, and Ms. Young is the alternate. And Business Advisory Board, Mr. McDowell. And it looks like,
right?
what's
I
that?
will gladly stay on it.
Okay.
Yep.
You're a small business owner, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Ms. Young, did you want to stay as the alternate? Code Enforcement Board, Mr. Frampus?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Ditmore, you want to be the alternate? Parks and Rec, Mr. McDowell, and then Ms. Adams is the alternate?
If I did not discuss this with Councilwoman Adams, but I would love to have her be the primary and me be the alternate, if possible.
Happy to do so.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Switch roles. And the last one on this list is the Planning and Zoning, P&Z Board Liaison. Ms. Adams, you want to continue with that one?
Yes.
And I'll be the alternate for that. So, did I miss any? Yay.
Police pension?
And what?
Police pension?
That's not on there. The police pension, I think we did already, last meeting.
Yeah, police pension is appointed at different times during the year. The annual report for the police pension was provided as one of the consent items on this agenda.
Yeah. Okay, can we have a motion to ratify all these things that she has written down? Mr.
I
McDowell?
want to squeeze in there real quick, though, and I know that I have that in front of me, the tourist report. That's not in here. Is the tourist commission, is that not a standing? Is that
TPO? No, I mean, not tour, no. I don't think that's,
and I know there's some other ones to the earlier point that we made, Commission of Aging, that one is out there. The Oversight Committee for the Lagoon with the half-cent sales tax. So there are some other committees
I
that,
don't think those are city boards per se.
but we get money from the, from those organizations. So we have a vested interest to be there, my opinion.
Yeah, as Deputy Mayor said, continue to go and I think give a report back. So, and I think we all go to those kind of different meetings that aren't necessarily in the city of West Melbourne, but we all work together with the other 15 municipalities to bring that collective wisdom back. Ms. Adams?
I'll make the motion to accept the list of board appointments for council.
Thank you. Mr. Ditmore? Any discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Our next action item is amendment to initial site plan for Eden at Heritage Lakes. And our planning director will pull that up on the screen.
You all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you give me 1 minute to pull it up.
Okay.
And we do have the applicant in the audience, so I'm just going to give, the update from where we were before. This is for the project called Eden at Heritage Lakes. And if there's other words that go in that title, she'll let us know. This is about their architecture and some changes. And just as a reminder, the project history is it started in 2021. And in July, so in the summer, that's the third bullet down, they told us that they'd like to make some building facade changes and eliminate the balcony and switch some things around. So we came to you all in September because I told them it wasn't staff approval, it was something that had to come here to City Council. And, they did come, and you all, the last bullet tells you that, you all made the motion to deny, but then that motion became to postpone. And they were going to come last meeting, but, having the documents be correct was important. So here we are at this meeting. So the October 18th request, here are the three features that they talked about. The one that was talked about the most is the last bullet about eliminating the balconies. There wasn't as much discussion about the type of siding, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But with this request, it's the same thing about modifying the siding so that they have this hardy plank type of siding instead of the stucco. Installation of a single first floor glass door and large windows instead of sliding doors. That was also what they had last time in October. And then the biggest change is the installation of a single second floor glass door. They had that last time, but now it's back onto a balcony. So they heard what you all had asked. They've put the balcony back on. And then lastly, they heard what staff had told them about accent colors and some other things to, make the building stand out. So those are the images that are in there, show sort of what they had before. This is what they had brought to you October 18th. And, they had some material in there about the siding, so that's also in the package, so it's part of the record. And they've told us that, that hardy plank was going to be used on all the buildings that they have on their property. What they ended up doing was reintroducing the balconies. That was probably the most significant change, and it was based on your feedback. They did provide us these views. So the reason why it's sort of three frames is it's, if you stretch it out from the south end of the property to the north end, that's kind of what you'd be looking at in alternating patterns. But I don't want to steal the thunder from Eden Living. I'm sure they're excited about their colors and whatnot, so they can tell you about that. Again, this is to compare, back September 2021. On the left-hand side represents the initial architecture, and then on the right-hand side, that's what they're asking for, today. So you can see that, the balcony style's a little bit different, but it's, a balcony. And don't be deceived by us sort of squishing the image of that other building on there. That's just the angle. It's not that the building is going to be, squished and looking like that. Again, it's just so we could get everything on the slide and have you all kind of compare the two. They'll tell you a little bit more about the first floor and the fencing and the wall that they're proposing. I'm not going to get into much detail. They did add, some things that we call vertical separators along the building, and that also breaks up sort of that mass of a big, long wall, so that's good. The single stories, these are the ones that, they say are like single family that they actually call, the horizontal living, the single family rentals. And, their initial rendering was with the stucco, the two color pattern. That bottom image shows it, with that hardy plank siding, but all the other features the same, and they've assured me that that's the direction they're going in. The reason why it goes through staff before it comes directly here is that we still have codes, that we need to make sure that they meet. So we, act as that filter to make sure they meet the minimum, and they do. And that's why you have, the code citation sort of in the blue and then our statement in red. And that's the last bullet is where I say to you all that the reintroduction of second floor balconies, vertical separation bands, and privacy garden walls is consistent with a code requirement to provide building mass relief. That's the way we look at it. So just like in the staff report that's part of the agenda package, this is the same recommendation that we had written in there. And like I said, I think, from what I've put together, I know there was a typo in the staff report, so I apologize in advance. But on the other hand, like I said, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I can answer questions, but if not, then the applicant would like to refer to this narrative and tell you all a little bit more about these changes.
Yes, we can have them come up and give a little presentation, as long as you're here.
You have a question for Christie?
You have a question for Christie? Okay. Hold your thought for a second. Go ahead.
I guess for you, Christie, and a question for our attorney as well. The initial rendering that we had and what we approved, it met the requirements for the code requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have an option to decline this bid? I'm just looking at it. I'm not really in favor of it. So my question is this something that we have an option or we don't have an option? So if we don't like it still, I mean, I still like the original rendering, so I don't quite understand why they're going with it. It looks, to me, this looks bad, but do we have the option to say no?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the city attorney, but, it's, before we go down that route, if that's the opinion of the council, I think we would probably need to postpone it because, there's some items that are specific in that gateway interchange that they meet, and then there's some broader items that you can, use for your motion if you're so inclined to go that way. But I would really love an opportunity to talk to our attorney and parse that out.
I don't like to use the term bait and switch, but we really like that, at least we seem to agree on this, we like that original rendering, and then it's been changed. They took that away, then they bring something back that's, anyways, so I guess we're back to Cliff, if you want to opine here. So
It really comes down to an interpretation as to whether what is being proposed is consistent with the standards that were presented in the first place. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So candidly, I'm not sure that framing the idea as whether you could deny it is really the right way of phrasing it. It's whether it meets the intent of what was initially approved. And I think you have staff telling you that they're comfortable at this stage with what is being proposed as being consistent with what was approved. So it's not really a...
define intent. Would you say intent, what their intent as far as intent to meet the statutory or the code requirements, or intent as this is what they brought to us the first time and they're trying to bring us the same thing back?
Intent meaning that it meets the initial approval of what was approved, that it meets the spirit of the intent of the initial standards that were approved. So if you're not inclined to accept what's being proposed tonight, then rather than quote unquote denying it at this point, you probably do want to go back and continue this item so that more discussion can be had on it. But I think what you're hearing from your staff is that what is being proposed at this point now meets the spirit and intent of what was approved.
So I guess now that they're here to speak about this, I guess if you can make the case as to why you have to do this versus the original rendering and explain why that's so necessary, and I hope it's not to say we're gonna save $100 a unit or something, because the cost of this I think is going to be minimal versus so slider doors versus French doors, or put double French doors or whatever. I don't care. It definitely does look different from the original rendering. So my question is, what I want to tell you is make the case as to why you really have to do this. I mean, because I still don't understand why. So.
Well, thank you, Council Member. I think that's a really nice intro. First, my name's Logan Opsahl. I'm with the Lowndes Law Firm. Nice to be with the City Council tonight. Exciting night. You bring up a good point. This project is pretty unique procedurally. We do have an approved site plan. We actually have an approved final site plan as well in relation to our approved initial site plan, and that's what relates to these architecture and like things like the balconies and things that are consistent with the comprehensive plan. What we had found, because of just the unique procedural situation we're in, is as we move forward with that approved plan, they were having some issues with the sliding door. Actually, you speak to cost. One of the wishes was to remove the balcony facing I-95. But again, those provide that kind of breakup of the wall that staff was speaking to earlier. So that's actually an added cost. So no, we're not looking to make it cheaper. Actually, some of the pictures can be a little deceiving. It looks pretty subtle, some of the changes, but the spirit of the changes were really surrounding meeting compatibility with the comprehensive plan. And when you take a look at some of the things that were being recommended, and staff alluded to this, some of these minor tweaks can be done administratively. But what we had found is the further we got, there were things that just kind of changed the look. And so we wanted to make sure we were doing this above board and coming before the council on those items. That brings us to last month, and the council, at their direction, y'all have provided us some really good ideas. And what the developer has done is kind of roll up their sleeves, work very closely with staff to hash out all those details. And you see some of those up there, and the developer is here tonight. We can dive into that. But what that is the result of a lot of collaboration with staff from the recommendations and the direction of this council to produce a product and something that matches the City of West Melbourne's vision and look and compatibility with the comprehensive plan for this particular project.
I guess what I'm really looking for is for you to make the case why that change needed to be done from the original rendering to this. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why did you change it?
Yes.
And I haven't heard that yet, so I'm really kind of looking forward,
Sure.
Make the case as to why you need to make that particular change, because of what you're saying is you're trying to meet the comprehensive plan. Well, you've met that on the first one. Why was this desire? Why are we changing it?
Let me, I know he's an attorney, but let me say this. This is diving in deeper than the comprehensive plan. Most of what he talked about with it being consistent with the comprehensive plan is sort of aspirational. So this is actually, that's why, when I went through my presentation, I just don't want there to be confusion about, it's nice to say consistent with the comprehensive plan, and it is in a broad sense, but now we're diving into some of the details, okay? And so that's why I quoted section numbers of the code and not the comprehensive plan. So I just, as your staff, I want to let you know that there's two perspectives. He's taking the perspective, broad picture, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. He is, and I have to, my job is to look at the details and to look at, is it consistent with the code?
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's
One second. You mind if I jump in? Christy, can you just make it clear? It was my understanding that they didn't come back out of the goodness of their heart. They came back out of your recommendation because planning got uncomfortable with the amount of changes that was occurring, and you asked them, or you told them you wanted it to come back to council. It wasn't out of the goodness of their heart, correct?
No, it wasn't the goodness of their heart.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and those particular code requirements, which he's talking about, diving deep into those and answering your question directly, were what we're trying to match here. That approved initial site plan, what we took from that, because we had came to the board to discuss the balconies and the signings, what we took from that is it had brought up enough items that it changed the plan to where it had to come back before the board. So that it couldn't be done administratively. So what staff was trying to do was take a look at these particular code requirements and make sure that all of the options and suggestions from both the developer and the staff we're being consistent with those code requirements, and also matching what City Attorney was saying, the intent of the approved initial site plan. And those are those additional features you've seen that match those requirements.
Okay, if I just follow up here, I'm still looking for, because this wasn't, staff didn't make this change from the original rendering. They didn't tell you you had to make a change. It was the developer that you guys wanted to make this change, or your client wanted to make this change. I'm simply trying to get to the bottom of it. Why were they making this change? I just make the case to make the change. If staff approved the initial and we were going to approve the initial renderings, everything was fine. No one's making the case as to why they're making that change. We haven't heard that yet. I don't quite understand it. Did I miss something here? Because
No, that goes back to, and that's how we started this, the procedural aspect of it all. And that's why it's a bit unique in that we do have that approved final site plan. I believe that was done prior to the initial site plan. But what we're trying to do during that process, it seems to me that some of those things were either missed or not looked at from the code perspective and the nitty-gritty of the balcony and those other features that are required per code. And so when we had came to the council and to staff originally with these changes, that's why staff said, look, these are some changes, but they reach a level in which they need to go to the city council.
Okay, we still haven't heard why. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's.
All right. Let her up there, and then Mr. Bentley's next.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Tia Jesse with Eden Living, and just wanted to first thank you for the opportunity to be back here this evening, and hopefully we can work through this, and thank you for considering this matter again. To respond specifically to your question, Mr. Ditmore, when we started developing the construction drawings for these buildings, we of course go through a series of reviews with different consultants, and one of the bits of feedback that came back was that, look, sliders can be problematic from a water intrusion and waterproofing issue. And so the design team said, look, let's go back and look at this and see if we can come up with a different solution. Then it progressed to, okay, we weren't going to move forward with balconies, and so then of course sliders were off the table because we didn't have a balcony. So then going back to having this, reverting back to this plan showing the balcony, we wanted to stay away from the sliders for those issues. It was really specific to water intrusion and moisture, and so we, instead of the sliders, are proposing the door and a window. And so that's really the nature of the switch from sliders to a door and a window. And then we've done that on the second floor as well as the first floor, just to be consistent. And I also wanted to address your comment that you just you didn't like these as much. And I wanted to kind of specifically ask what it might be that you felt. And I don't know if it's maybe the graphical representations here that you're seeing, if it's the colors or what it is, or if it's just purely the main difference.
Yes, and then we'll continue.
I'll answer. For me specifically, you went from the slider glass door, which is a double, to a single. And I've seen French doors where you have one French door single and then you have the single window next to it. So, I mean, it's the width-wise, it just, to me, just doesn't have a good appearance. But, you can have you know what I'm talking about, a full-size window next to the full-size, to the door. Right now, you just have this skinny little door there, and I can't understand, I'm not quite grasping why we're trying to get away from that, but that's fine. Thank you.
Mr. Bentley?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. I think you finally answered John's question, so thank you for that. Seemed like we're having a hard time getting there. I don't understand, for example, why you couldn't put. I understand what you're now saying on the glass doors. There's a water intrusion issue. Seems like you guys have probably built a lot of these. You'd have known that before now, but assuming that's the case, because that's what you said, why wouldn't you have simply just put two doors there of the type that you're talking about using now, the
French doors?
French doors, and keep the balcony size the same? It seems like you're determined now to do less with the balconies than you had originally proposed.
And I don't have dimensions here in front of me, but to be clear, I think that might just be how they're looking here graphically, I don't think, see, if as
I
Christie
agree.
pointed out,
I agree, Mr. Bentley.
They're
Like
the
I
same
said, we
width.
had to smush that image to get it in there. So I don't know what the size is,
Well,
but I would say
But
that
you're asking us to decide, so I want to know, is it the same or not?
it should be the same, it should be the same width.
Why wouldn't you put two doors there, French doors, instead of one in a window? I mean, we liked the original look. We approved it. You guys, everybody was bought into it. We kind of had a deal made. So at this point, if it's just water intrusion was your only reason for not doing it, why not simply put two French doors there and you don't have to make any other changes? And that solves your water intrusion issue.
And certainly, you know, we've looked at different iterations. This was just the one that we landed on. We liked how it, we liked the aesthetics of it, and we liked how, you know, we had done that on the first floor, and had just proposed doing the same on the second floor as well to be consistent. We think it functions well that way, to have a window and a door. You know, typically you would make, if you had the double doors, you would make one of them inoperable anyway, just to, you know, people tend to go in and out of, usually you have one that, particularly with hurricane impact doors, one is locked, and then you utilize the other one. That's something we looked at, but this was just the decision that, you know, we ended up with, and had gone back and forth with staff on this, and felt that this met the intent. You know, understanding, you know, our understanding based on the feedback from the last hearing was, you know, the concern was this, you know, the elimination of, you liked what you saw in the balconies before.
Well, so did you. You presented it to us.
Yes. So, but I again, you know, sometimes these drawings come out, you know, preliminarily when we are still developing construction documents and we're still getting reviews by consultants, and drawings are still being engineered, and sometimes, you know, things do change. And I did want to be clear that the comments regarding going, you know, the goodness of our hearts, really when we came back, you know, as is typical in any type of change, we always go to staff and say, hey, just wanted to let you know this is what we're doing, and we rely on staff to determine whether that's something that they can do administratively or we need to come back to council. So there was no, you know, no trying to hide anything from anybody. And then subsequently it came up that, you know, with the addition of the, you know, the cumulative total of these changes pushed it over that threshold. So it was never an intent to hide anything from anybody. It was just the progression of how, you know, our conversations with staff went.
So are you telling me that these balconies are pretty near the exact same size as the original?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have dimensions in front of me, but yes, they just kind of reverted back to that drawing.
They sure look different. I mean, I understand if you shrink it down, but you're asking me to decide based on what I see.
Well, no, based on what you saw in the attachments here, not that slide. This slide is just for speaking, but like if you go to 12F-12, you know, go to that
Well, and
page,
I'd add too on
you'll
that.
see a better sort of perspective of, you know, what she's trying to describe.
This is showing two different building sizes as well. That's showing a 4-unit building, and that's a 6-unit building, and that's why that's squished as well.
Yeah, this is what I'm
This page.
Correct.
Yeah, I've got 12.
Yeah, staff is certainly not graphic
Let me
artists.
see
So
here.
you gotta
I got 12-14 and
for that.
I got 12-11. Yeah, I just want to see it. Okay, that looks different than the shrunken down ones.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. McDowell?
Thank you, Mayor. I did not get to see the first one, so I have nothing to compare on that first drawing that was with the double doors or the sliders. I was only here for the second, and I did appreciate the fact that there was that pushback by the council that said, whoa, this looks really radically different, and it does. I do recall you saying, and we can go back and play the tapes, that indirect benefit that you had discovered with that window was that inside space would be made available. Yeah. Well, made available. You lose that with this because those are full windows and door. So whether it's a window door, French doors, balcony, I would be supportive in moving forward. So I just put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Young?
Thank you very much. With the sliders, so you're making the change because you're concerned about leaky sliders, but not a leaky French door. Don't you think leaky French door could leak too?
In theory, consultants tell us that there's a lot more issues with sliding glass doors.
Okay.
Tracks that the sliding glass door, and I'm not an expert in that, so I
Okay.
don't want to.
I've had sliding doors at a lot of different places, and I've never had them leak ever once. You could put in better quality sliders.
I don't think it relates to the quality. I do, as I understand it, again, not an expert in this field, but it is related to the doors sliding on tracks and the water getting into the tracks. And again, that is not my area of expertise.
Okay, with sliders, if you're sitting out there and you want to go out on your balcony, you open the slider, you've got a screen. So you open the slider, you close the screen, you can sit out there, the air goes through, you don't get the bugs in there, and you kind of get that open feeling because the slider's open. With a single French door, every time you want to go in and out, you've got to open and close that door every single time. You don't get that feeling, that openness at all. It's a closed wall again as soon as you close that door. I don't think it's the same at all. And when you were here before, I was willing to compromise with the hardy, with the different siding instead of the stucco. But that was all that I was willing to compromise on. The original plan with the sliders, I think, was the best plan. And I'm kind of still there. So I'm not going with the leaky sliders. So I'm sorry. Thank you.
Ms. Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. I was one of the council members that brought up the questions of the hardy plank, so seeing the changes with that, I'm okay, just as Ms. Young is, with moving forward with that hardy plank piece. I do have concerns with the door and the window. I'm thinking about the residents who will want to live in that apartment, both in the near future and then the far future, thinking out. You've got, when you compare the two options of what it used to be and what it is now, you've got what I perceive to be a difference significantly in the sunlight, in the airflow that's going to go through that apartment and be available to people. I think something to consider is what people can use that balcony space for, what people are going to use that outside access. And I think you do lose some of that with that window piece. Looking at it and considering what that would look like in real life, if you're standing out there, opening that window is going to have a different impact than opening those two doors or a sliding door, things like that. So I think it's just something to consider. That's the piece I still don't like.
And I will add on these two, something that's a little different in this type of project that we've even, that we considered is that in a traditional multifamily unit where, say, you live on the second floor, that is your only access to the outside, is your balcony. Where these are two-story units where people have a sizable backyard that's a private backyard. So in looking at this, obviously, in any of our traditional multifamily projects that we do, we always do offer, we've never done a project without good size balconies. This one was a little different in that, again, people do have that outdoor space, they have an entire yard. So we kind of weighed that a little differently than we typically would.
So you're talking about on the first floor in the walled-in area, and I don't know if you want to describe to them that you all will have divider walls between each of those units so that it is like a yard.
Yes, so each of these units, as you see, these are 4 and 6 unit buildings. Each of them has a 6-foot privacy fence between the unit next to it. And so they have a completely fenced yard. And the way we've done different conditions in different areas, but as you see in this rendering, this back fence is a metal picket fence because there's quite a bit of vegetation back there. There's the utility easement, which there's a lot of natural vegetation, plus we're planting back there. So between the units, you have a 6-foot privacy fence that goes all the way the length of the property, and then you have the metal picket at the rear simply to provide so you're not feeling that boxed in kind of feeling, and so that you have also a little bit of a nature view. But you do have that private space, which again, weighed into the, kind of the balcony not being as important as not carrying as much weight as we sometimes put on it, again, in a traditional multifamily where you have no other access to the outside other than through your balcony.
Anything else, Ms. Young?
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Adams? Okay. The balcony, an original versus this one, is it the same material or did you change material?
Yes, it's the same. I mean, they weren't fully defined. We didn't call out materials or colors on that original approval, but we just reverted back to that design. We called out, right now we're showing these as black metal railings. If you can see on the bottom, there will be a trim piece there, which if you can see on those renderings, we've painted in one of the accent colors, depending on the paint scheme for that given building.
Okay.
And again, we incorporated the other change, was going ahead and further developing these paint schemes. It was never the intent to paint all these buildings white, and we understand that's what you saw, so one would assume that that's what we were doing. But we've kind of further defined what those paint schemes are that should, allow, again, we know the concern was the view from I-95, and so this allows some differentiation. We, of course, have the 4-unit building and the 6-unit buildings, and then we have 3 different color schemes that we're proposing with the blue, the green, and the gray, and those would be alternating along the rear elevation on those buildings. And those same colors would be incorporated throughout the community on the 1-story buildings as well.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Frampus.
So in your rendering, your end units are the only ones that are going to have color, or is that what you just said? They're going to alternate.
Yes, what we're showing right now, we looked at some different iterations, and to make it not look too fussy, but to provide some differentiation, we put the accent color on the 2 end units. So we have 6-unit buildings, so you would have a color on the ends, and then the 4 interior units would be white. The 4-unit building, the color would be on the 2 ends. I
think
interior
it works
units
on the 4-unit. I don't think it works as well with the 6 units. It's a lot of white in the middle. Were the color choices yours, or is that something you agreed on with the city?
We went back and forth.
Blue?
Those color choices were actually, the blue and the green and the gray were the colors that were shown on the original renderings, just not on the rear of the buildings. So we just took those same color schemes that you had seen and carried them to the back of the buildings in order to provide an accent color.
Well, like I said, I don't like it as much on the 6-unit, but on the 4, I think it works. Thank you.
And we did incorporate some vertical elements in there. Again, you don't see it as well in these images. I don't think it picks up the black railing. I feel like, we'll add a little bit of pop to that. And we'll have the vertical lines, the vertical trim pieces, which will kind of break up that trim. And this representation here, the blue and green look a little bit funny. And we can tweak those. I mean, again, if somebody, I don't like to get too busy with the colors, but I understand you want to have some differentiation, and we do too as well, even within the community and the 1-story units as well as these. But we aren't married to these colors if that's something that somebody wants to see different. But we felt like this provided enough differentiation without getting too busy.
Mr. Ditmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for Christy. Christy, we built 7 or 8 communities, apartment communities, in the last 3 years here. Any of them using sliders?
I believe there are. I thought the Luminary, which was the Minton Cove, the original one on Norfolk Parkway, I think they have sliders. Let me take a look, if you don't mind, because
I'm just kind of curious if they're so problematic. I wonder how many other people are using them.
Okay, so this one is the Haven. They don't seem to have sliders, and then this one, Grand Oaks, is an older one. I can't tell. I don't know if you all know, but I don't remember about Grand Haven. Aventine, Mr. Rohde, since you lived there, did that have sliders?
Aventine did not, and Integra does not. They just have single back doors.
It's not as common in our industry to do sliders that much anymore because of water intrusion issues, and we're all very sensitive, and contractors specifically are sensitive to that, so a lot of times they steer away. I will say too, though, it often depends on the building condition. When you have a condition where you have a roof element or a balcony, so say in a situation where you have a recessed balcony that's underneath, sometimes you'll see them in that condition because you don't have as much potential for water intrusion. But the way this building is designed, where they're sort of flush with the exterior, is where you tend to run into more issues.
I think a lot of that is just really personal choice. As you're going through all these different buildings, Ms. Fisher, Some of the windows have mullions, some of them don't. That's the cross section. Instead of having a clear piece of glass, they have the inserts that make it look a little fancier. Some of them do, some of them they don't. Tomato, tomato. As far as a door, some people love French doors, some people hate sliders for various reasons. So, all these windows, regardless of which one you put in, will they be hurricane? So there's no shutter. So they're all going to be a heavy-duty quality product. So, okay. So why didn't you go with two French doors? Is two French doors the same size as a sliding door?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that was one of the options that we did look at. And, you know, there were a number of reasons we went with it. We talked about one of those, we'd keep one of those doors fixed. One could be operable. Again, we had gone with this window door configuration on the ground floor, which it makes sense there. And we just brought it up to the second floor as well. It does, it works well. It works well from the interior as well. Again, as you said, it's kind of tomato, tomato, what people prefer. And look, I prefer this. I think it functions better. I understand, you know, there's different opinions on that.
Yeah. I know sliding doors, I don't know about the water intrusion, but a lot of people have trouble with the sliders because, you know, just the sand that grinds in the track.
Yeah, they're a maintenance
nightmare.
Property managers.
Mr. Frampus?
Thank you, Mayor. I think you did try to work with us, and you did bring back balconies, and I'm just want to get moving forward with this project. So I'm going to make the motion. We make the amendment of the initial site plan as written.
Mr. McDowell? Do we have a second? I'll second it for discussion. I'm sorry?
That's more discussion.
More discussion, right. So,
And then you what?
what I'm hearing, I mean, what I'm seeing, I think the colors are fine. The balcony's fine. Now we're just stuck on a slider door versus a single door versus a window and a door.
Mayor, I apologize to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Can Deputy Mayor repeat his motion? Cliff and I were just caucusing, and we both heard different things, so we just want to make sure we heard the right thing. I apologize about that.
Clarity is good.
Want the clerk to read it back, or you just want me to? I made the amendment that we move forward with the initial site plan as written.
The one that's in today's.
The amendment.
With the amendment.
Okay. The amendment of the initial site plan as written.
Today's presentation.
agenda.
Okay, sorry.
That's the amendment. This is the amendment, right?
We're good.
Correct. You are correct.
needed.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Well, that was my understanding, so that's why I seconded it. Yeah, okay. Anyway, Mr. McDowell, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So mine was a discussion, and it was just cost. The cost of that door window versus a slider, just for my benefit, mine alone. Is there a cost differential that's substantial?
I don't know that it's substantial. There probably is, and I can't quote you on those numbers. We've, you know, gone back to our contractor and said that there is, and there is a long-term maintenance cost that's more significant with the sliders as well.
And it's unfair. Actually, I kind of did the lawyer thing. When you know the answer, you ask the question, and I know that it is.
Yeah.
There is a substantial difference. So I do think that whether you agree or disagree, irrelevant. But the point is that there is a cost issue here. It's a lot more costly for a slider than a door and a window.
It is more costly. I can't tell you precisely how much it is more costly, but that's not the only consideration. Again, even if it were cheaper, we wouldn't go with it, again, because of the ongoing issues, you know, related to maintenance and potential water intrusion. And frankly, our contractor pushed back very hard, and, you know, because of their liability issues related to water intrusion and warranty.
Thank you. Mr. Ditmore?
Mr. Bentley brought up something, so I just want to kind of piggyback that. The design, and I don't know what it's called, but you have the French door on the one side, and then it's a non-operable piece on the second side. Is there a name for that specifically? Because I don't know what they call that.
I don't, we just call it having a fixed door or a non-operable door, yeah.
Yeah, so you have one operable. So it would be the same width. It would be the same width as the slider, correct? Something like that. 'Cause at least I've seen them. You have one operable door and one kind of a fixed door. You still have
Yes,
you still have the look.
which is the same width as what we have with the door and the window as well.
Right. Except but it's not going to be a window that's going to be the full length. It's going to be just that short window that you have on here to the side, or is it a full length window?
No, it's a full-length window, and I apologize for not having the dimension, but what you're seeing on the renderings, it's not that window to the right. That window to the right is actually a bathroom window that you're seeing, or on the side of the balcony. Within the balcony, next to the door, is a larger, I think it's a 60-inch, I think it's.
I see it. So and I don't want to get too far off what his motion is, but I just can't wrap my head around why not just, you could have the same width, you could accomplish the water intrusion issue, and you would have had one single door opened up with the width of the door. It would have looked like the same width as the slider. No one thought about that? I mean,
We did explore, like I said, we explored several options and looking at what worked best here.
is it cost prohibitive to do that?
It's not, I don't know that it's cost prohibitive. It makes sense because we are already ordering these doors and windows for downstairs. So aesthetically it looks good, but also we already have these doors and windows specified, and we've already ordered a lot of them for other parts of the community. So it makes sense. So it is probably more economical for us, but that wasn't the driving factor in that decision.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bentley.
I have 4 French doors going out to my pool deck area, and I've also had a previous home that had the sliding doors. You couldn't put sliding doors in a house of mine for anything in the world. I do think French doors are much better from a maintenance perspective, and actually from a looks perspective personally. And again, I have both. I still don't quite understand. Maybe I do, but I won't say that. I still don't quite understand why you couldn't have put 2 French doors there. You could have. I think it's got to be a cost reason why not to, and I understand that. But I do think this meets the intent of our code, and now we're picking at what we personally like better, and that's, for me, not a really good reason for us to deny anything, is because we would like to see it a little bit different. You guys have come a long way from the last time you were here, and so I appreciate that. And I would like to personally see 2 doors, but I don't think legally I should bind you guys to that. I just think that would. I think this meets the intent of our code, and we're being told, by Christie that it does. So I'll support going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, you're next.
I think Mr. Bentley makes a fair point. We're looking at it as if, we were living there and what we would like, but ideally that's also what we're supposed to be doing, from my understanding, for the good of our residents in the city. So in terms of looking at what you have now, and I was not completely clear that that was a window, looking at that second story compared to that first being the same size. So it's a little bit more reassuring that that window is larger than I expected it to be in terms of that light and that air. Do you know, typically, if maintenance is a concern with these sliding glass doors, that what the maintenance costs have been with them compared to what could be with a single door and a window?
I don't have that information. I know, again, there's a multitude of issues. It's the maintenance, simple maintenance. They don't, issues with the track, or people, being careless and, the tracks aren't cleaned, and then they have to be reset and different things. And then again, the other issue of the water intrusion, which are 2 sort of separate issues. But I don't have a good understanding or a number of what that is. I'm just told that it's an issue.
Understood. And you don't anticipate, if we do approve it the way that it is now, you do not anticipate as high of a maintenance cost for the single door in the window.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all those numbers are just relative with a big development like this. Windows have maintenance going up and down. When you don't use them, you got to replace the springs and all those things. Doors, you name it, they're going to have maintenance. But a development like this, I'm sure can afford all that as long as they maintain it. That's not our issue. If that was our issue, we would have different kind of construction. We would have concrete block all over and less maintenance and stronger buildings and all those kind of things. So I prefer 2 French doors on the bottom if this is what I was building, and definitely would meet the intent of what we talked about. But if you're saying this meets the intent, city's okay with it, I guess it's okay. So I don't know if you lose more wall space this way with a window as opposed to 2 doors, because they're spread apart. So you do lose a little. I don't know what the width of that window is either.
You don't really, because sometimes people will put furniture in front of a window where they won't put it in front of a door. But we're splitting hairs, probably.
Okay. Yeah.
But I am confident in saying that you're going to be happy. This project is we take pride in delivering a good quality product. We're not a production home builder. That's not what we do. We do deliver a good product, and we care. I mean, if I get a paint color up on the wall and I think it looks wonky, I'll make them change it. It is our desire to build really attractive communities. Again, we're a multifamily owner-operator. We are constantly in business. We are constantly trying to attract tenants, so we have an interest in these projects looking great and looking great for a long time, so.
All right. See no more lights. We have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1 with Ms. Young voting nay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was tough.
That was easy. Yeah. Up next, we have item G. This is purchase of police department handheld radios and associated equipment. Chief?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So we're here before you tonight looking for the replacement of 34 of our portable radios. As you're aware, this is a part of a 3-year plan for replacement that was put into effect last year. We were able to replace 20 radios last year due to volume pricing. There's actually, with an allowed budgeted amount of $92,400, the department would actually be able to purchase 34 radios for $90,912.48. So one of the rare times nowadays that we're actually able to get more for our money. So staff thought that it was appropriate that we come forward trying to get the pricing on the 34 radios now, and then next year would be the final year of replacement, and then we would only need to replace 8 more radios in next year's budget.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
I was excited to see these come in below what the anticipated price was going to be for the first set, so that was exciting. I think something to consider was looking at the piece provided by staff that these will no longer, the ones that we currently have will no longer be supported by Harris. So if we're looking at a long-term investment, I think it makes sense for the city. Ultimately, it's part of that plan, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve this purchase.
Thank you. Mr. Ditmore?
Second with discussion.
Yes, Mr. Ditmore?
Thank you. I know this was brought up last year, and basically I want to speak about the radios not being supported, and I don't know, Chief, if you're going to have this answer, or Deputy Chief, or someone might have it for me, or typically, and I know radios can be upgraded, software can be upgraded into them. I've seen that happen before. So my question would be, if they cannot upgrade the software, how long are we going to get support on these radios until they decide to determine we're not going to do this anymore? Because it makes it easier for a selling point to, hey, gee, these are no longer supported, so now we're going to have to go buy new radios by such and such time, and it forces us to have to do that. So I guess the question is, if we don't know it, can we get that answer, is how long is the support going to last for this particular model that they're pushing out right now? And are we going to get 5 years? Are we going to get 3 years? What are we going to get?
So typically what I've experienced is you get about 8 to 10 years out of them. I recently just went through a radio replacement with another manufacturer that we got 10 years out of them.
That would have been Motorola, correct?
Another manufacturer, yeah. And they were significantly more expensive for replacements. So I did talk with the DC shortly before the meeting. I don't think we have a firm date on how long they'll support, but with these companies, I think what they do is there's some planned obsolescence with them. And if we can get 8 to 10 years, I think.
And that's the point I was getting at, the planned ops. Yeah. So how old are our current radios that we're replacing?
I'm going to defer to DC Cordova.
The rough estimate.
Or exact estimate would be good too. See how long they last.
6 to 7 years.
Can you send us that when you get the real number? I mean,
and that's the thing, because if you're going with the other manufacturer and getting 10 years of support, but you're paying less but only getting 6 years, but you're that's that planned obsolescence. So that becomes problematic. And I realize we're kind of stuck with that, as everyone uses it, and we're using the system through the county. So, and I don't know, does the Motorola's interface? They don't. Oh, imagine that. So.
I'm sorry, can you come to the mic? I didn't hear.
He was just mentioning that with the P25 compliance requiring interoperability across manufacturers and standardized protocols, they would eventually do that. I think the important point to think too is when the current radios were purchased, it might not have been beginning of that brand new radio. They were just replaced in West Melbourne at that time. But the other manufacturer, those are 6,000 to 7,000 a radio, so almost double.
I know.
So if we can get 8 years, and I know that's about the most you're getting out of 8 to 10 years out of these radios.
So if we could find out what the life expectancy is on this particular program, that'd be great, especially since we're phasing them in over a 3-year period. And then, maybe we got 8 years in the beginning, now we're down to 5. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. That's the problem. And maybe we do somebody should be talking with the folks over at Harris about making the radios upgradable or something, or get us a minimum on them, because I would hate to be looking at this in 5 years from now going, yeah, we're phasing them out again. So, although I probably won't be here in 5 years, someone else will be. So, all right, thank you.
Mr. Frampus?
Chief, when you talk about 8 to 10 years for a radio, you're talking about the actual components in the radio, right? You're not talking about how long that particular chip will function long-term, correct? Because it's my understanding that the last radios, they didn't phase that out like they're phasing in the, what is it, the G10, what, G95, whatever, they're changing the compatibility this time, correct?
Yeah, to be compliant with the.
So you're saying the radio itself will last 6 to 8 years before we got to replace it. We might not have to change the compatibility 6 to 8 years out again,
correct. And that's part of the issue with these is becoming compliant with the nationwide.
It's not compatible anymore, and we could get a 10, 15 years out of compatibility, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
And we're not just going to upgrade just to get the latest
That's what I
gadget. It's a
so the
requirement.
radio itself is only going to last 6 to 8 years, but the compatibility could go 20 years maybe under this new system.
Correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Young, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. A few years ago, well, actually more than a few years ago, when I was sitting in your seat, Mr. Dittmar, I asked that same question. We got the new radios, and how long are these going to be good for? Are they upgradable, so we're going to get use out of them? And pretty much got the same answer, which I would think it would be now. We don't know what technology is coming in the future. We don't even know if when we're going to get these. Do you know, because of the chip shortage, are we going to be able to even get these? Do they have chips in them? Or?
So these are ready to go.
They're ready to go?
They had purchased in bulk, so we're taking advantage of their availability.
Okay. So with 5G coming in now, and I'm sure 6 after that, we don't really know. We just kind of have to get what we can get and things that work, and when they stop supporting it, they stop supporting it. So we can't go without radios. We can't use a tin can and a string, so I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Yes. Just a couple of questions. How long has this particular radio been on the market? The new one?
They're fairly new.
Fairly new? I'm surprised if they're new, they bought them in such bulk. That's why I'm,
Well, I think what you saw is the trend towards, countywide needing replacement of this. So they saw the orders that were going to be coming and took advantage of the pricing ahead of
and
time.
speaking of countywide, will these radios sync with the sheriffs and other departments? What if they don't upgrade as quickly as we do?
Well, everyone's going to have to be on a system that's compatible with the dispatching system. So there's really no choice to that.
Okay. And are we going to sell the old radios, or what do we do with those?
This does include a trade-in.
Trade-in? Okay, and how much are they giving us for the trade-in?
You see?
It is buy one, get one half off, and then it is, I believe it's, I don't want to tell you right now the wrong number, but I believe it's 1,000.
1,000, okay. So there is a market for these someplace, is what you're saying. Okay.
Sure. And for public safety dispatch, there are those P25 standards that they have to hold up to. There's always a secondary market in the private sector for some of these radios, and they'll take advantage of that.
And last question, we have 52 sworn officers and we're buying 62. Why is that?
So you also have public service aides and other needs, the auxiliary and a couple spares. So.
Okay. All right. Very good. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. You're batting 1,000 so far. Next, Mark, you're up next. Motor Control Center.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
We're looking to replace two of the MCC control panels that operate the belt press filter, the belt filter press at the plant. You could see they were installed back in 1988. The lifespan of these are between 25 and 40 years, so we're at 34 years. We have started having some issues with them. They are air-conditioned units. We had to have them serviced, and they're being, in the 80s, designed and developed. The technology is just changing so much with them. The good news is if we're able to replace them, they will be compatible with anything further. We are looking to replace the belt presses themselves within the next few years, and they will be compatible for any upgrades that we do. So this is a sole source of our contractor, what we're looking for, Revere. You could see they have done numerous control panels for us in the past. And like I said, it's not just supplying power to the belt presses, it's the whole operation, it's the brains of every function that the presses do. So with that, we have budgeted $300,000 for the two of them, and as you can see, the budget came in at $281,924 to replace both of them, and it's my recommendation that we move ahead forward with Revere Control Systems to replace the two panels.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Frampus.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion we approve and award the contract to Reverse Control Systems, Inc. in the amount of $281,924 to replace the motor control centers in both machines.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
I'll second with a question.
Sure.
With the difference in technology from then till now, are we expecting an increase of efficiency or anything really different with this new technology? I mean, I'm just asking because this technology is older than I am.
Yeah, the power's the same. It's 480 feed, so the power supply to both panels will be the same. The mechanisms inside will be different to control the panels. Obviously, there'll be update. Brian could give us a little more information in terms of the mechanisms inside, the different patterns, the different fuses, the updates. So with the equipment we have now, we may not see it but in the future, when we replace it, there will be a definite savings.
So ideally, the goal is when we replace the other pieces connected to this, hopefully there will be then increased efficiency with those which will rely on this technology, correct? Okay. Brian, anything to add? No, okay. Thank you. I just wanted to check.
You also says that this will be down for 4 days electrical wise. How does that affect our operation?
Depending on how quick, well, we have the two of them, so they should be able to do one at a time.
They can shut electricity off in one? Okay. All right. All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion passed without opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last item is mechanical integrity test of Class 1 injection well.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of council. So I'm bringing forward a project we bring to you every 5 years as the operator of a Class 1 injection well at the water treatment plant. The Department of Environmental Protection requires we test that every 5 years. So going through that process, we have enlisted the services of Hazen and Sawyer, who you're probably familiar with. We've been working with a lot lately with wells, water plant design, and so they're helping us through the process on this one, and had reached out for several quotes to have this completed. You can see the quotes came in, AC Schultz at $71,840, All Webs Enterprises at $140,000, Youngquist Brothers at $110,000. AC Schultz happens to be the contractor that we just selected for the well construction. This timing is very similar to when they'd be mobilized to come into town for completing that work. So we are required to have this completed in January. So we would recommend that you authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with AC Schultz to have this work completed.
Thank you. Mr. Ditmore?
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute agreement in the amount of $71,840 with AC Schultz for the integrity testing of the city's injection well.
Thank you. Mr. McDowell?
I'll second that.
As you see from the bids, one of the bids is close to 100% more than the other bid. Why do you think there's so much difference? And it also shows you the need for getting multiple bids.
Well, a lot of it really right now is the availability. They're just very busy. If you recall on our Wellfield project, we had 2 bids, and one of them had stipulated in their bid that they couldn't start for a full year. Yeah. So I think you're seeing that reflected in this as they say, okay, well, if you need something done on your timetable, it's going to cost a little more. If you do it on our timetable, we probably can work with you a little bit. So I think that it's to our advantage that we happen to have this Wellfield contract working through as well. It's sort of similar timing for them to be mobilizing and starting. So I think that's to our advantage. But a lot of it really has to do with just how busy these contractors are. It's a very specialized, it's specialized work.
But the results, whatever company does it, should be the same.
Well, so there'll be a state inspector on site while they do it. There's a whole process. You have to receive approval from DEP before you start. And so the mechanical integrity testing plan was included in the package. And so there's a process to it to make sure that it's done appropriately.
Very good. All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed without opposition. Thank you.
Thanks.
That concludes the action agenda. Next, we have the city council reports. Up first is council member newly elected, re-elected, council member Young.
Yes, I got that. I'm going. Okay.
You're up.
If you could please grab these off of your stations there. I put one each, everyone has one. And you see the little tab that I have on the side. And you'll see that West Melbourne has arrived. We actually have an advertisement slide, a digital advertisement slide. We finally have one. Now, if I can just get them to change the picture to use the drone picture of the park, which is kind of like the one that's on our website, that would be much better than what they have there. But this is the first time we have actually arrived. As you see, they have Titusville, Palm Bay, the beaches, they have everything else, but they've never had West Melbourne, so we have finally arrived. This is kind of a thick packet, but if you could keep this with you and just take a look at it and see what's being done. Tourist development, we spend millions of dollars on national and international advertising, marketing. The whole thing is branding, 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 branding. The EDC is working on this too, as I'm sure that we've all heard at the different EDC meetings. Meeting with Angela Neal, she has come to our Space Coast League of Dinners. I'm turning into Mr. Bentley. League of Cities, and she's talking about branding, and they are working with the tourist development on branding. Space Coast, Space Coast, Space Coast. When you pull up Space Coast and you just Google Space Coast, you get Space Coast Credit Union. We would like it to be the Space Coast, which is more than just Brevard. It's the whole lagoon area right here. It's branding. If businesses and things want to jump on board and grab onto the name, they don't have to spend their own money on advertising. The wheel's already been made. They don't have to reinvent it. Just jump on with this and get on board with the branding for Space Coast. For this year alone, the tourist development tax, just the 5% portion that we've collected from the bed tax is $23.3 million in the last fiscal year. It's amazing, and this is more than they've ever had by nearly 6.4 million. So we've gone through COVID, we've gone through everybody having to stay home, can't go to Florida. It is now revenge tourism because they're back, they know we're here, and they're coming. The hotels are being filled, the prices will go up, and the bed tax money is going to come in. You'll be seeing more and more people. As you know, we've talked about the airport many times, about the planes that are coming in, bringing in tourists from out of the country. They're here, they're spreading out, they're running out. They love coming here, and as you can see, they have spent this money. So please take this with you. Look at the advertising that's been done. Tourist development uses Anbar in addition to their own advertising company. They use Anbar. They do a terrific job. They're also on Pandora. If you go to Pandora and you go to Space Coast Grooves, all the music there is chosen by this particular group, and all the advertisements are focusing on Space Coast, branding for Space Coast. So this is just a very short update that I wanted to give you. I wanted to give you something to take home, but I'm so glad we finally got a slide for West Melbourne. So I had to bring it and share it with all of you. So that's I have others, but that's enough for me tonight.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I understand that since the last vote we just had with the election for the county, that some of that tourist money can go for other causes rather than just one thing, like housing and different things, I believe.
Well, the county giveth and the county taketh away.
Yes.
So, yes, they certainly can.
All right, thank you. Councilmember McDowell.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you also, Councilmember Young, AKA Marketing Director.
Oh, thanks.
Very nice. Thank you. The KBB and the composting initiative, if you recall, at the last meeting, it had no start, and we were initiating that no charge event. And just want to update you, in this short period, we now have 57 customers. So we went from 3 to 57 very quickly, and it's continuing to grow, which is a positive. There's been a change in some of the management there as well. So things are starting to finally make some improvements in that area. I just wanted to kind of give you guys that update. In line with that, I know that that there are highlights and spotlights, and we had talked last year about highlighting the composting and doing that, but it was way too soon, and it's still too soon. So hopefully this time next year we can really spotlight it in the League of Cities magazine. That's a real positive. As far as I'm concerned, besides all the general stuff of chambers and ribbon cutting and dinners and whatnot, I'm also focusing in the next 6 to 7 months my final component of my graduate degree for sustainability, and part of that is after working with 3 different research supervisors, is what was my question. And of course, I want to boil the ocean. You know, I want to, because when you look at the sustainability initiative, you look at it in 3 different segments. It's a triple bottom line of economics, environment, social responsibility. So it's a wide range of things you can do. In any event, my sustainability research question as it relates to those triple bottom lines, or what we fondly refer to, people, planet, profit. I know that Mr. Morgan loved that profit to be in there. So people, planet, profit. And I am asking this question with the assistance of my research supervisors is, what specific sustainability actions can a city undertake to combat climate change? And to answer that question is going to be fleet management. And what I've asked for is I've reached out to the city manager and saying, hey, is this a possibility? Since I am not going to boil the ocean, could we look at allowing me the opportunity to do the legwork, to do the literature search, to do the research, to do all of the data collection, in order to do some analysis to look at the future for this council, to look at, you know, a year from now or whatever, for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years into fleet management for a city of our size. And he graciously said yes, so I'm really happy about that, because that got me through the first phase of the university. But I do have to have a feeling of support from the council to continue down that road. It would be nice to know that we just don't put it on a shelf and let it gather dust, that would have some merit, even if it was something to build on for the future. That was at least a foundation. So that's what I'm doing. And that should be, I have milestones, and I won't bore you with that, but the objective is literature search now, data collection January, February, with the conclusions in May of next year. Thank you.
When you say waste management, you're talking about the company waste management or managing our waste products?
Did I say waste management?
That's what I thought I heard, but maybe.
I don't remember. West Melbourne.
Oh, okay. WM, I mean, there's a lot of WMs out there. Okay.
But now that we're talking about waste management, no, if I did, I apologize. I didn't mean to confuse you. But that's really what I'm up to. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. My dissertation doesn't require any data from the city, so we're good, Mr. Rohde. You're good. Looking at for the past few weeks in terms of different things the city's been doing that I know some of our council's been involved in. We had a great ceremony with our new police chief, so that went really well. It was great to see residents in the community really come out. Same thing with the West Melbourne Business Association. They did sort of a goodbye, but also a welcome to our old and new city managers, so that was exciting to see. Just kind of side notes in terms of looking at policy for the next coming months and things to focus on. I did meet with Mr. Rohde recently, and we talked about some pedestrian safety concerns and some things looking at the whole city, ways we may improve that, as well as strategies to enhance city communication with and to residents. So I've shared with him some ideas. He's kind of let me run with some of them, and I'm going to bring some things back to him to just kind of get some input from him, and then ideally bring it to the rest of council and get some input on what everybody thinks in terms of kind of enhancing those strategies that we're currently using. It was great to see with the advisory boards that were on the agenda tonight, so many people continuing to wish to serve, but I've also know in that packet we had noted there were a couple applications that were being submitted that we didn't have vacancies for on the board, so I thought that was especially exciting to know that we have people kind of waiting in the wings wanting to serve with the city. So that was really great to see. The Space Coast Field of Dreams board did also meet with representatives from the city about a week ago, and part of that marketing and branding came up as well, just in terms of it's considered the Space Coast Field of Dreams for that marketing purpose, from my understanding, but we were able to meet with a bunch of the city staff to kind of talk about the future of the park, the city, what we want in terms of really engaging people of all abilities and increasing usage at that park. So it's exciting to see that position that council had approved a few months ago. I think it's really coming to fruition, and I see it picking up speed. So I think it's heading in the right direction, and that's pretty exciting to me. Next week, there is also the Florida League of Cities Legislative Policy Conference, so I know I'll be going and a couple other people will be as well, so we should have some updates about that. And then it was kind of just a last note that it was exciting for, as a first-time candidate to have resident trust that they placed in myself, but also the other two members of council to continue to serve. And I think it's going to be exciting to be able to move that policy and impact it in a positive direction, but I look forward to serving with everybody and working together to really build the future of our community. So just wanted to say thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Councilmember, now is Deputy Mayor Stephen Frampus.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we all went through the hurricane just recently. So on the 10th, Mr. Ditmore and I, when they opened up the Rhodes Park shelter, we went over there and toured the shelter because some of our residents in Hollywood Estates were recommended that they evacuate their homes and go to the shelter. We did see that most of the people at the shelter were more homeless than anybody else. We also toured Hollywood Estates, and everybody seemed pretty well settled in there. So we did that, and we also met with the city manager and discussed with him some things during the hurricane also. So thanks for spending the night, and I know the police were out there again and did a great job, so appreciate that. On the 17th, I enjoyed the ceremony of the new police chief, and along with all the rest of the council, and that was enjoyable. I did receive a call on the building at our park over there, and I guess it was the lady that wanted to do the band instrument thing, and we seem to keep getting this. I would really enjoy seeing the city get out of the leasing business, and maybe we turn that building over to the Parks and Recs. And we have, according to the last 2020 U.S. Census Bureau, 21.8% of our residents now are over 65 here in West Melbourne. And I would really encourage us to have Parks and Rec turn that into a 55 and older community center, and we can put literature out there, we can have programs for them, and we can turn it into something that the city would be proud of, and maybe us get out of the leasing business. I know in Public Works we have two structures over there that we also lease out, and we're going to be needing that space over there when we expand the water department, and it just makes a lot of sense that we put an end date on these things, and I would really encourage the city manager to come up with an end date and us move forward with some plans on those buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilmember Ditmore.
Thank you, Mayor. What's today? Today's Tuesday. Monday. I'm sorry. Yesterday, I attended a event over at Northrop Grumman. They asked me to come and speak to a group of veterans. This was a rescheduled event, and they had asked me to possibly come back and formulate something for next year, and I told them I'm going to work with them on that. So we have a lot of people who live in the city of West Melbourne that are employed at Northrop Grumman, and there's a significant number of veterans that actually that work there as well. So I'm looking forward to helping plan next year's event. Also, I learned that on November 8th of this year, a federal judge ruled up in the Northern District of Florida that ruled that our state statute that covers our elections was unconstitutional, a portion of it, and that portion was the basically we're not allowed to advertise our parties during campaign season, so forth and so on. So the federal judge threw out that state statute. It's no longer applicable until the state appeals, which we don't know if they are or not. It significantly is going to probably change things in the future during campaign seasons. I did speak with Rick Lacey, who is the chairman for the Brevard Republican Party, and he's going to be suggesting some changes on the nonpartisan stuff to the legislative committee. It's going to be coming up here shortly. So if you have any input with that, you can speak with him. The next thing I want to just talk, when we were during the public forum, I asked to get a little bit of feedback, which I think maybe was lost in the translation. But I want to make sure that that the city manager, that we have some, that the city manager knows what to do as far as bringing back this heritage thing before we send this out to bid, to have these people put together a bid, that we have some direction. Because if we had to do a raise of hands here, and I know the mayor hates to use that term, raise of hands, but I think if we were to vote on this thing at the about heritage, the Heritage Oak extension, I'm not so sure if we had to vote on that right now that it would pass. So that being said, I think that we probably should take a look at this prior to sending this out for bids, because I don't want to waste the contractor's time on this if it's not something that we're actually going to move forward with, because I think they would be pretty upset about it if they put a lot of time in this and time and effort. So I just think we should meet ahead of time. We should have this brought before us before it goes out so that we're not wasting anybody's time. And I want to make sure that the city manager has that direction. And I have one other thing to talk about. So does anyone not agree with that, bringing this in before it goes out so we can do an up or down on this ahead of time?
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Agree? Agree? That's 3. Anybody else down? Bring it before it goes out to
I think
bid?
you should definitely finish with St. John's and get a shelf ready, depending on what's decided. Yes.
So that's not
So bring it back. So I mean,
what I said.
That's not what, he didn't say the same thing you said.
Oh, okay. I think that you could bring it to us before, we either going to push, we're going to have a pretty good idea whether we're going to move forward on this or not. So I just think it would be, we're going to do a disservice to people if we are contractors that coming in, if we're putting this out and we know we're not going to move forward with it. So, Mr. Rhodey, you need other, is that something, when is your timeline was to bring this in January, correct? After it was bid?
Correct. So I think the concept was, in order to have this once and for all vote up or down on Heritage Oaks and Doherty Extension, to have all the facts, and a big part of that fact would be the bid and how much this project will cost.
I don't think
That was one idea, but
I don't think the cost is the driving this right now at this point. I think it's whether or not we're going to want this project to move forward back there. I think that's where that's at. I think I get that, but I just, if right now, if you had to do a vote right now today, I don't think it'd pass. And I think that's the problem that we're at. And we're actually we're taking these steps forward, but I think we're kind of, being blind to the fact that there's not enough council support to move this forward. At least I don't think there is. And I don't think if you're coming in with a cheap number and say we can do it, if we had someone to come in and say we'll do it for free, the council's not going to support it. That's the problem. It's not something it seems to be what the community wants. So that being the case, it doesn't matter what the cost is, and that's, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So,
Ms. Young?
I don't mind that it comes back, but I just wanted to make sure that it's out there that this is impact fee money for infrastructure that we can't use for anything else but this, and that this addresses the flooding that has been an issue over there for a long time. Now, we've done some flooding reparation already over there with the pond and things that they did, but with the road, this is a first-class road. This is FDOT Class 1 curb and gutter road. This is not just a little pathway. It also has a guardrail next to the canal. It has a wooden fence, not a plastic fence. So we need to look at this very, very carefully and make sure. I know that I also asked city manager for a report on any accidents that have happened on the road since we put through Florida and Florida Avenue, because we had the same issue with Oak Grove over there, and then also with Henry, when we put Henry Avenue through over there. What has happened since we put it through? I'm all for listening to the residents. We work for them just like we work for everyone else, but I'd like all the information out and for us to have everything. The road was already approved. Now we're just talking about awarding the contract. But you're right, but these residents are here if they don't want the road, and if it is the majority, and we don't know that it's the majority, because a lot of the people that do want the road don't want to come out and say so. So we have all those people as well. Sometimes what we see in front of us isn't everything that's behind us. We've seen that time and time again with speed bumps. So I just, as I said, I don't mind if it comes back, but I think we need to have that information.
Deputy Mayor Frampus.
I don't disagree with you. Either one of you, actually. I know I've been on council over 2 years now, and I have had zero input on this and zero ability to discuss this issue. And I think it is a good idea to, at least 3 of us have not had any input on this at all. And I know one of us has committed a no from the beginning, and I think another had voted no on it before. I don't think it's a bad idea to see where council sits on this road now. I agree on maybe bringing it back and maybe on the next agenda just to see if there is support for this road, and then we can move forward. Let's hear from everybody on council and see where we're at. Thank you.
I would think that you need to finish up to St. John's before we can even make those decisions.
Why?
Because if St. John's won't even give us that, it's a moot point. So
Well, if council doesn't want it, it's a move.
excuse me a second. We've gone this far, and regardless of what the council decides, we will have it. Same as the kind of like fire thing. Whether council does it or not, we have it shelf ready to make a decision, and that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, I'm just gonna probably disagree on that. I think.
Okay, but this is.
I'm still talking about I'm on my reports portion, but I think that it's important that we're going to make a decision not based upon money. I'm not talking about what we're going to put. We just may come back and maybe cost prohibitive and say, oh gosh, we're not going to do it because it's going to cost too much. That could be the case too. I'm just saying, do we want this project regardless of what the cost is? We don't need to wait, or regardless of what St. John says. What do we want as a council? What do we want? And is there not enough support to even take it down the road? We may have it, so we have it brought back to us to the next meeting and say, yeah, let's move forward and get this. And Mayor, to your point, maybe we will get some more information. We want to hear this. I don't know if you're going to have enough support to get it down the road. And what I'm saying is we could either move forward or stop at that point. So. And we have enough notice to get out before the 13th, that's 3 weeks from now, and enough notice to bring people in, and enough time to make a decision. Gee, we're going to go on to the next step, because we're not have to wait for anything from St. John's. We're not waiting to put this out to bid, and if the council says, "Hey, there's enough support, let's move forward," we move forward. I mean, but we can put this to rest early before it needs to go out to bid. That's the only thing I say. So, Do we have enough support to bring it into the next, to bring it back to us ahead of time? I mean, I know I'm for it. You're for it, Mr. McDowell. Ms. Frampus, anybody else?
I'd like to get the city manager's recommendation when he would like to bring it back for that. But for the same token, Mr. Ditmore, we can do the same thing and play that game with the fire department or anything.
I'm not here about
You're ready to vote on that as well. I know that, but we don't have the facts, but you're ready to move on.
No, I'm saying is, do we have council support with this project? And there seems to be an issue, whether I believe from what I'm seeing with the people coming through here, I'm starting to get the impression that it's wavering on this project. So all I'm saying is we should probably discuss this at the next meeting, whether to even move forward or not, to even do anything more on it. That's it. Because I think we're kidding ourselves by just, oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Because right now, the money doesn't make a difference. I really don't care what St. John says.
That's to me, but.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying the money doesn't make a difference, right? If it was free, it's not going to impact me. I'm not going to say, oh, it's free, we should do this. It could be cost prohibitive. So I'm saying the money part only comes in if it's going to be cost prohibitive. So what I'm saying, there's 3 of us here. Is there another person that wants to bring it back before that to decide what we're going to do? Mr. Bentley?
Yeah, I don't think we should come here. I think what you ought to do, if this is something you want to do, is to simply give direction to the city manager to put it on the next agenda.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
You don't need anybody else's help to do that. You can do that on.
I think we just can't. We have to have them.
No, I don't think so. I think you can put it on the agenda.
He would have to agree to do it as well. Only the mayor can do it on his own.
Mr. City Manager, what's your recommendation to proceed?
I think this is an interesting project. We've certainly heard from both sides on people for it and people against it. No, I just meant the public, right? So we've gotten the feedback since the time I've been here. We are nearing the finish line of the St. John's permit. It will be ready to go out to bid, and we will have a final price as to what this will cost, today, so to speak, to do this project so we can vote it up and down once and for all.
Okay, well,
if we want to have it on the council agenda ahead of time before we bid the project, I guess one fear would be not having all the information. And the piece of information you wouldn't have to make that decision is what the cost is.
Well, the cost isn't driving this. The cost may drive it. It may be too expensive.
Let him finish his thing.
I don't know why we wouldn't. We've apparently that we've worked on this project for 12 years. We're
not going to go there.
We are a few months away from having all the information for the council to make a decision. It seems prudent that we would wait to see what the bids are, see what it costs, and once and for all vote it up or down and be able to move on. Now, the 13th is a big meeting. We have the fire study on that meeting. We have several other agenda items on that meeting that we've been, working on. So logistically, to turn around in 7 working days and put everything together, I don't know that logistically I can do it justice to put everything together.
There's nothing you have to put together. All we want to know is, does the council support this? Absent the cost, does the council support moving this on?
But I mean,
that's it.
We have the plans, and we have the stormwater impact, and we have the traffic study.
If we don't do anything, how's the stormwater going to be impacted? Right now, is there something that needs fixed? Do we have a stormwater issue right now?
Okay, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no issue right now, we're not doing anything. I mean, if there's something that needs fixed, we should be addressing it regardless.
I'm just saying to put all the information that the city has put together on this project would take some time.
If you
guys just want to, if you just want to have the council, vote it up or down based on whether it's
to move forward, right? Just at this point. So, is there enough support to move this project along? That's all. Because if we don't have enough support to move it along, we're going out to bid, and these people are going to spend time and money, and they're going to go, hey, is this project even going to go? And if I was a contractor, I probably wouldn't even take it serious, because I don't even know where it's going to be at. If they're going to be watching and listening to this, they're going to go, well, we don't even know if this is even going to go or not. Do we even want to put the time in? So, and it might. So we might be able to say, as a collective, we might say, hey, listen, I might hear something on the 13th and say, you know what, let's go forward. But what I'm saying is that we've had a lot of people come through. We've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of contacts from people. There's been a push on this for years. I've always told those people back there, give me 50% plus one. I've said that years ago. And the problem with this project is that it was kicked around. They built another community back there that wasn't supposed to be there, that initially wasn't supposed to be there. They changed the route where it was supposed to go initially. They moved it alongside the canal. None of that was supposed to happen. That didn't happen on, most of us weren't here when that took place. A lot of those changes happened. So, point is, all I'm asking for, and I've got 3, and I want to get it on the next. Apparently I only need one. So, Mr. Bentley, do you agree we put this on for the 13th to go up, to move forward or not?
I want to ask the question first to the attorney, whoever. Is he allowed to put an item on the agenda on his own without any other council member support?
For discussion, yeah, I would think. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let me look at your rules, if you want to take a timeout, and let me look at that. I don't have your rules right up in front of me, so I don't.
We can, but Morris told me in the past that it always had to be us with the city manager approval, or the mayor does it on his own.
I'd like to know the official answer. And I can do my report while he's doing that.
Also, there's really no harm, and the city manager asked politely, if you want to do this, there's no harm in doing the first meeting in January. It doesn't change anything. It gives him time to do that.
There's nothing he has to do.
Okay,
If
well, I
it's
think,
gonna- if it's gonna-
to be fair, he needs to.
What does he, okay, what does he need?
Okay, I'll answer that. He wants to make a full report for those who haven't seen things. Also, as you know, once we put that on the agenda, we can fill up this room and the next room. So I
don't care if we push it back to January. I don't want to see it going out to bid and wasting those contractors' time. That's the purpose of this. Don't waste the contractors' time. If this is not something we're going to move forward with, then just not do it. And if you want to wait to January because we're going to pack the house, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. All I'm asking for is prior to it going, let me make this clear, prior to it going to bid to the contractors, that the council has an opportunity to go proceed, don't proceed. That's all I'm asking for. Is that unreasonable? I mean, are we good with that? Dan's good with it. Steve's good with it. I'm good with it. Are you good with that?
January?
Whenever it is, just I don't care. You can make it February. Prior to it going.
February. There we go. We're in March.
Prior
That will give us time to get the St. John's in, and then we'll know where we're proceeding.
Prior to it going to bid. That's all I'm asking. Okay? Because I just don't want to waste these people's time.
But I would like to, where I'm coming from, you might be surprised on my vote on the project, but as far as I would like to finish St. John's and then make the decision, proceed or not proceed. At least that's one.
Well, I mean, just before it goes to, all I'm concerned about is before it goes to contractors. That's all. And that's before it goes to bid. That's all. That takes whenever. That's fine. That's all I'm. So are you good with that?
Do we have a?
Do you have some direction here? No.
I thought we were waiting.
Well, the answer to the specific question is that item 6.4 of your rules for the council state that any council member may request an item be placed on a future agenda, 1, during a meeting, or 2, advising the city manager or city clerk of the item during the preparation of an agenda. The agenda, sorry. So that seems to be that an individual council member could do that.
Okay, so prior to this, you got the direction, and prior to going to bid, we're going to discuss it. I don't care if it's January, February, March, April, whenever, but it's prior to it going to bid.
All right. I think,
all right? And I have one more thing
he understands
to talk about,
that.
so.
I think we can talk about this a little more. We can extend this out a little bit more.
Okay.
By bringing up, definitely am not going to be ready to talk about this in December. It just.
Well, that's what we're not. Okay. He's good with that.
We have 2 days of one-on-ones with the fire study.
Yeah, that's fine.
And there's
not
only
trying to
3
get it
working
done.
days in between.
His suggestion is prior to going out to bid.
Prior to going out to bid. Good enough? Fair enough?
Good.
That was easy. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Ditmore.
The last thing I wanted to talk about was I wanted to talk a little bit about this composting issue thing that we've been talking about. I'm a little concerned about the number that they're offering 100 free to get this off the ground, but they were charging people ahead of time to pay for this. Now they're going to do it 100 free, and they've got 57 that want to do this. So my concern is that I think the idea to do 100 was to maybe bring in 100 people that are going to pay for it. So there's nobody paying for a project, and so how long can that sustain without grant money, all these other things? And it seems like they're really pushing a cart up the hill. So I think we should probably set some kind of timeline on this to when it's like, hey, listen, if they don't meet these, goals is the right word, or the, the projections or whatever, to where they actually have paying people that could actually support this, that we should probably pull the pin on this. So I'll leave that up to the city manager, but I would think that it has to be something that's functional and working, and if it's not, we should probably. What's that? Are they leasing that property from us, or how do we?
Give them the site for $1.
We gave it to them for how long?
Leasing, not giving. I'm sorry.
And we're leasing it for how long?
We had set up a lease with them. I believe it was a 1-year lease, so it's before my time.
Okay, so I think maybe we should be looking at where they're at when that year's coming up. So that's coming up in what, April or May, somewhere in that time frame. I can't remember when it was.
Around there.
I think that maybe we should look at it and go, hey, look, this isn't really working, and we should decide what we're going to do from there. So go ahead. I know you had something to say.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's not working. I mean, you made an assumption there. So let's call it what it is when we put those parameters on it. And then if it's not working, I hear you. But let's not make the assumption it's not working. It wasn't working, it's working now.
Well, nobody's paying for it, so, I mean, there's
It's working. It's working now.
Somebody's got to pay for it, so, okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Wow, your time is up. Councilmember Bentley.
Cynthia, if you could bring those 2 files up. I just want to think John should get an award for the longest council report on record. So I want to go to the last 2 pages in this. So I just want to, I'm going to bypass everything else I was going to say, and I'm just going to focus on 2 things, which is, or 2 or 3 things. One is I did want to make a correction. In the council packet, it had shown that I had only attended 2 meetings for the police pension. I've attended all 5. That was a typo. So I've never have missed a police pension meeting, and I didn't want you guys to think, he wanted to be on this, and he never goes. So it was just a typo. Because as soon as I saw that, I said, fix it. And they did. So the official records changed, but it had already been printed here. So the last 2 pages, one of them looks like an Excel file, spreadsheet, all the way down to the very end. Is there more? Are we to the end?
Page 32.
Well, then that's different than what I have in front of me, so that didn't work out too well. Yeah, I had 2, then I gave you the wrong file, then let's just open the other one. So I'll make a couple comments on that, and maybe I'll send it out to the council members. And I just want to go to the page that shows the total graph of the dollars. And I want you guys to have a copy of this, because this is the report that we get quarterly from our financial advisor, and it goes through and shows every angle you could ever want to know about which fund's doing what, and it compares it to all the indices out there on life, and it shows you how we're comparing against that. So there's one, I want to go to the page that has just one graph on it, just right there. So, and so one thing I wanted to show you is, people have got to be wondering, or at least I wonder, what's happened with the market downturn. How are we in this fund now? Because if you guys remember, we were at about 102% funding, and that's up from 53% 12 years ago. So we're really in good shape, or were in good shape for the police pension. And so you can look at the numbers here and see that we're down a couple of million, but we've actually recovered since then about $1 million of it. So we're down probably about 10% right now. And we're still at 99% funding. So we're down significantly, but the market's recovered since this point on the graph, all except about $1 million or so. So I wanted to let you know that it has recovered. We were down 20, now down about 10, and so we're still at about 99% funding, which is really outstanding and better than probably 99% of the folks out there. And a couple comments I wanted to make, and I wish the other file part was there. So if you want to look at this, this is about a 40-page book, and we get it quarterly. You're welcome to have a soft copy of it, and you can just kind of scroll through the pages while I'm running my mouth on some other issues. So I wanted to point out that we spend about $30,000 a quarter in expenses to manage this fund. That pays for the actuary, that pays for the attorneys, that pays for the custodians, that pays for the administration. So that 30 grand pays for everything. We, the city, put in about $55,000 a quarter. And so we spend about 56. Otherwise, current people that are getting money are getting about 56K. Is that, yeah. So, yeah, it's actually, I can give you the actual number. Our current payout for July, for example, was 56,000. Yeah. August, 56,000. September, gone up a little bit. I think Chief Wiley may be retired. It's up to 60,000. So that's about what we're spending, about 60K in a month in output, right? That's what we have to pay to current people. And we're bringing in a significant amount because we're bringing in the 53K per month that we're putting in as a city. We also get almost $250,000 to $250,000 from the state of Florida. So the fund is really still, from what we put in, going very positive still. Forgetting the investment completely, as long as it doesn't go down. We're putting in still currently more than we're spending out. So the plan's doing really well financially. We did switch one category this year. We kind of look at it every year and say, there's 5 different people, there's attorney, there's all these folks working for us. Do we want to switch any of these companies? We switched one this year, the actuary. We changed, and that was hard because we had worked with Patrick, who's the actuary that actually works for us for many, many years. But sometimes you just got to look at it, and if you looked at the presentation, we had them all come in and do presentations. The other guy put on, he really looked like he wanted our business. And he presented things that we just hadn't seen before, so we still love the other company. Patrick's a great person, and he did a good presentation. But the other guy looked like, wow, I want to earn your business, and I'm going to come in here prepared. And we voted to get rid of our good friend and say, it's not about friendship, it's about a business case here. And so that's what we did. And so we did change that out, but we still have the same attorney. We did give a couple of $100 raise to the administrator, but that's the only fund that went up at all. So we're putting out about 26K a quarter, about 100 grand a year to manage this fund. When you look at it, about 20 some odd million, that's not too bad. It's a very good cost. I wanted to make just a few other comments maybe. Oh, when you look at how far down we went compared to the rest of the country, we're in the top 14% of falling back. Does that make sense? Otherwise, 86% of the 86% of the country did worse in their fund than West Melbourne did in theirs. As far as falling, we do. We the 100%. Yeah. One thing that I did ask for in the 2 meetings ago is I wanted to get us into a new category other than finance. We've moved into a couple of new categories over the last few years. We went into real estate, and that's doing really well. We went into infrastructure. That's also telecommunications infrastructure, and that's doing really well. I want to find a third one of those. And what she brought back to us, the advisor, was just another financial thing. And I said, look, I don't want to buy more stocks. I mean, yeah, I can find 1,000 different funds. I'm looking for something that's outside of the stock market that we think will appreciate over time.
Who actually pulls the trigger and manages the funds?
We tell them which ones to buy. Andover, I think is the name of the company, and Company is the name of it. It's on there. They actually go out and do the purchasing, but we tell them exactly what we want to do. No, we listen to what they advise, but I think that it's done really, really well. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I had from a police pension. It's doing really well, still up around 99%. Of the drop, we're still in the best position possible compared to almost any other police pension out there. I thought that was incredible when I saw that we were in the top 14% as far as the least amount of a drop. I thought that was really cool. Questions? You guys want to know anything else about the fund?
No, I appreciate you bringing back this report. It's really good. So I think what you're saying, whether it's the public or city council, if you want to make or only lose 14%, or you could mirror all these buys yourself because it's public information. You might not have 16 million to put in there or whatever they have. You can put your amount, but you can copy this basically and buy these same funds because they're public funds.
Yeah, some of them are institutional funds, but you're right, you can't.
That's just a different level, just a different,
The thing that I've been trying to force over the last N years, been doing this I think 12 years now, is I'm trying to get us more into index funds. They just pay a lower fee, and fees over 30 years make a huge difference in life. I mean, that's where people usually go wrong is they pay so much in fees. That's money that's not growing. And I just caught, unfortunately, when I was looking at this week, they switched $1 million from, and I guess we authorized it. I think that was a mistake on our part, and I want to go back and try to correct it, from a actively managed fund, or from a index fund into an active management, which means they get fee on it. Right, and I thought, well, that's not what I want. That was a mistake, I think, on our part, and I'm going to hope to get that changed. Right now, we have over half our assets in index funds, which are very, very low fee structures. And so,
Mr. McDowell?
Right, and it's, when you say we have, that's actually the police fund, correct? That's the police fund, correct?
Yeah, it's police pension only.
The council, that's the.
No, that's police pension only.
Okay. The 14%, just clarification, it didn't drop 14%.
No, well, it dropped 20.
Right.
It
That's what I
recovered
want to make
10.
sure. It dropped 20. So it's like, it's not bad when you compare
To the rest of the
rest of the world, that you're only at 14 points versus.
Yeah, we're in
you
the
know,
top 14%.
Right, but it still dropped. And so that's the reality of it. And we should feel, so it hurts, but not that much as it could have hurt it. So thank you for that direction.
So cash would have been king. If you had 100% of your money in cash, you wouldn't have went down 14%.
Thank you.
Wouldn't be at 105% either.
That's true. Mr. Frampus, you're up next.
I'm done.
Let me just say that I think being at 99% after the market drop like that, I think it's
incredible.
commendable for you guys and what you're doing on that committee, and you're doing a great job, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to say congratulations on deputy mayor position tonight. I didn't hear it.
Adams.
Thank you.
I wanted to echo the same thoughts to Mr. Bentley. I think he does a great job just helping lead that group. The group as a whole has done a really nice job with that, and those meetings are open to the public, correct?
Yes.
How
And
often
you
do they
guys-
meet?
We do once a quarter, and you guys are, I can send you something out. You're welcome to come. At least come to one to see what really goes on. I don't know, but
Inflation.
I think we must have had an extra one somewhere along the line. But I did notice there was 5.
He's always getting
Huh? Oh, yeah, we had a vendor present to us. So that's different.
Yes, please send it.
That's
Please
why he's
send
here,
those,
man. Keep us straight.
Send those dates. I think it'd be great.
But there's about 5 people, I think, or so on that committee, 5 or 6 people, and they just, you know, a couple of police officers, and you know, we have Jennifer does the secretary part for us, and Scott Morgan's on there, and he has so much knowledge on this stuff. It's just unbelievable.
You are in competition for the longest report, by the way.
I'm stopped. I'm done. I'm done. No way.
All right. Outback cleanup here. These last few weeks, I've been to Sib Mill and Space Coast, League of Cities, and of course, the swearing in of Chief was a nice event as well. And West Melbourne Business Association had a kind of a meet and greet with out with the old. Scott was gone, and in with the new. Tim was introduced, so they met the business community sponsored by one of our members. So that was a nice event. I also participated in the food drive with Mr. Bentley. Representative Fine had 750 boxes of food that they gave out from Farm Share. So hopefully, he said the next one he would love to do in West Melbourne, where they get food and we pass it out. I think a lot of this food was left over from the hurricane, where they thought it was going to hit down south, so they took the semi-truck and drove it up here, and there was no perishable food on this one. So this was done in Palm Bay, and just amazing scary almost how many people are needing of food. So hopefully they'll do those, spread them around the county a little bit more. I just want to remind everybody that the tree lighting ceremony, I was told, is December 2nd at our park. If that's still on, we haven't heard too much, but that should be December 2nd. 2 days later, Promise of Bavard on Sunday, December 4th, is having a ping pong drop, so the closest to the pin wins up to $10,000, and that's their fundraiser. Also, congratulations, of course, to the 3 newly re-elected council members and our deputy mayor. And I'd like to see in the city newsletter, I know we talk about communication a lot, more than just 3 bullets that this has happened, maybe a little more information, bio or something on these people. I mean, we got to promote what we're doing in the city, and the residents need to know, who their elected officials are. So hopefully we can expand that a little bit, something better than size 10 font. And also would like to thank Cliff for stepping in. I believe this is your last meeting. You've done a great job, and we appreciate you doing this and giving up your nights. So we appreciate that. And also, just want to real quick on the hurricane. I know that came through, and waste management, I'm glad that they're stepping up and taking care of that. I know we cleaned it out a month before with the prior hurricane, so it's good that that's happening. But again, I think we can do a better job with communication and let the residents know, don't do so much wash, don't do dishes and all those kind of things, because it definitely overloads our sewer plant. So I don't think we're getting that word out at all, but it might be a good thing to do prior to hurricanes with reverse 911 code red or one of those. Let people know that, hey, wait till after the storm before you start doing that. And also, I know that some of the council members and city management met with the developers, wanted to meet with us one-on-one from Space Coast Town Center. So what was the topic and why didn't they meet with us here? And you can tell us what the meeting was about, because I wasn't able to attend that one.
The Space Coast Town Center developer requested one-on-one meetings to share an update and a change in one of the developments that previous had come before the council. And so he was offering to meet to discuss those changes. Ultimately, the new development that's coming in there is finalizing in the next 30 days their plan and would like to present that to the council.
So what was the changes? I mean, are they does that mean? Is it a secret, or you just?
No, the change is the horizontal multifamily development south of the south portion of the Space Coast Town Center is now talking about multifamily, but the more of the traditional multifamily, the high-rise, 3-4 story high-rise development.
Oh, okay. I know we're going to love this one, huh? So that's why they want to divide and conquer. Okay, that's fine. But I wasn't sure what. I thought it was something new and exciting they're bringing in, but you're just saying okay, got it. Any other questions for the city manager? And then.
No, I just want to add something to yours.
Okay. Then we'll go back. Yes, Mr. Ditmore.
Well, since you brought this up, the 2 things: the developer that built the initial apartments there, what's this? Integra, was supposed to go across the street and build something there. Well, instead of building that there, he's just going to wrap around and finish out that section that on the south side. No, he's not. No, they backed. That thing. I don't think is he doing that across the street yet? They told him he wasn't sure. Okay, well, I had conflicting information. Okay. Second thing about the newsletter thing. We do, they're bi-monthly, correct? Every other month? Or like they do 2 months at a time? So there'd be 6. I have a suggestion. I'll just throw this out here. Why not give an opportunity for the public to see what each council member is doing. Like, why don't we profile a council member once during, you know what I mean? There's 6 council members, and the mayor could throw in a piece. And then the council member, and that would really give a chance for the city to know what we're doing, what we're working on. Whether you're working on some sustainability issue, what I'm working on, say, the fire department or some other issue, whatever, everything that we're all
Road
working
closures
on.
or whatever, yeah.
Whatever we're doing, so anything, yeah. And an opportunity, so I mean, it would be an opportunity once during the calendar year for each one of us to be profiled and so that we could explain to the public what we've been working on, what we're doing.
Aren't we working on things together as a council?
No, what individual things you do. Don't you work on anything individual? Don't you work on different projects? I mean, I do.
I go to different events.
Yeah, and you could explain what you're doing, like, I'm working on this, or I'm working on this with the council, I brought this to the council. I mean, I know you work a lot of stuff on things that we don't do, so it gives each one of us, what's that?
I'll go last.
You'll go last. So it would just an opportunity for once a year for the people to see what each individual council member is actually doing.
And we used to, in that newsletter, have from the office of the city manager kind of an overview too, instead of just, we had referendum number 704 and we voted on that, and it's a little more exciting, a little more pep, but just a
Well,
good
I
thought.
had mentioned in my report that I'm working on communication strategies and enhancing that for the city. One of those things I had offered to Mr. Rohde that he said I'm welcome to lead point on is I'm working on a redesign of the newsletter. Now, granted, it's just an idea, but I'm hoping that if it's something that he thinks is good, that it could come before council and get your input on you like it, you don't like it. We'd love to see these aspects, but I figured it'd be worth a shot.
And I'll just make this case here with Mr. Bentley. The work that he does with the police pension, I mean, we don't do that. That's something that's really phenomenal. And that's something that should be highlighted, that we have this, and people would see that and go, wow. I mean, that's really has a wow factor to it. And I think people don't, unless they're watching this meeting, they don't hear this. But if it goes out to the 10,000 households, you have that opportunity to say, look, during the past year, we were able to do this, this, and that. And I sit on the pension board, and I do these things. This is what I do as part of a council member. This is what I do. And it gives people an understanding. It doesn't allow any of us to be lazy, is what I'm getting at. Because there's been council members that have been here in the past that have done nothing, 0 in the past, okay? And then, so now we have a pretty active council, and I'm pretty busy. I try to do some things that I need to probably do more. And I'm going to try to do more over the next couple of years. But
This is adding to your time.
Right. Adding.
Trying to regain it.
That's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
He's regaining that position.
And the last thing I'll say, our next meeting is December 14th. 13th. Tuesday the 13th. Yeah, Tuesday the 13th. And any questions for the city manager? All right, you got off easy. Mr. City Manager?
On behalf of the city staff, I would like to present our acting city clerk a small token of our appreciation.
Isn't that nice?
So while Cliff is opening this, I will cheat and tell everybody what it is. So you might not know this about Cliff. He's a little bit of a weather nerd. And so we got...
For the record.
I say that with love.
He says it with excitement.
We are presenting Cliff with a one of those electronic weather stations.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Thank you.
So he can keep track of the hurricanes.
When electricity didn't go out, they can keep track of it, yeah.
While Cliff was acting city attorney and doing a good service, being compensated, but doing a very good service, covering in between our attorney and until John Kerry, our new attorney, is able to take the chair. We just wanted to give you a little appreciation. We did have 2 hurricanes, and Cliff informed me during both hurricanes just how much of a weather expert he is by mentioning numerous factors about different parts of the hurricane that I still don't understand. So I just wanted to give him a small gift from the city staff in appreciation for his hard work.
Thank you. I thought I was getting a plaque. No. I did think that I needed to give guidance for someone who had not been through a full hurricane season. thought that was prudent. I did want to say, if you'll indulge me for a half a second, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, excuse me, to serve in the role, visit with you for these past couple of months. I'm not a resident here. I do frequent your city often, and you all are a really tremendous city council. You're obviously all very dedicated public servants. You care very much about your community. And although you like to talk a lot, and although you don't agree on everything, you really are a positive, productive, and professional group of local government officials. So I really appreciate that. And I can tell you, I'm in a lot of council chambers around this county, and you don't see that in every place. So it's really refreshing to see it. It makes the job for your council a lot smoother when you all do it the way that you do it, very professionally. John Kerry's lucky to be coming here. So I know that you all will make his job as easy as you possibly can, and he really is fortunate to be coming here. But I think what really makes the city great, you have an exceptional administrative management team. It really is top-notch. And just a couple of quick shout-outs on people that have helped out over the past month. Cynthia Hanscom and the clerk's team is awesome. Tom Forbes and the building department and the code folks have been tremendous. Christy Fisher as well, very helpful. Jennifer Curran in your HR department is top-notch as an HR director. It's not very often that you can go through a transition that you've gone through and have such an exceptional leader as you do in Tim. It really is something. If I was a city council member, I would want him administratively leading my town for sure. Absolutely. Tom Bradford and everybody. As far as police chief, Deputy Cordeaux, Chief Cordeaux, and the police administrative commander teams, Lieutenant Romano and Sergeant Perez, very helpful in your RPOs, which you've had a few. And just one final shout out that I'd like to give. You have an employee who probably doesn't get mentioned very often up here. Christine Pennington is the legal assistant in your city attorney's office. And she's one of the finest legal assistants I have worked with in 26 years. That is absolutely true. She's been invaluable as far as just providing me information that was needed to work on the issues that I worked on while I was here. So she's just tremendous. And John Kerry, again, is very fortunate to be coming in and working with somebody like Christine Pennington. She's really exceptional. So it was a great pleasure. I'd known about Christine and heard about her and kind of worked in similar circles for years. I'd never had an opportunity to work with her. It was tremendous. So all that being said, I feel very fortunate to have been here with you all and served you all, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
All right, seeing all that's on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned at 9:32.
Half hour off of that, John.